Welcome to Virtual Mimics and Gimmicks, where a bunch of idiots pretend to know what they're doing, and in the process torment me with their vicious mockery. I'm your friendly neighborhood dungeon master and player punching bag, Anastasia. Playing Troy, our half-wood elf ranger with a taste for bear blood, is Sean. As Magnus, our dark and brooding tiefling rogue, is Clint. We've got Ryan playing Buren, our furbolg cleric who prefers liquid courage, and Tatiana playing as Poofers, our wily tabaxi barbarian. Finally, we have Amanda playing Erebir, our sexy high elf sorcerer with hair and heart of gold. And now, for the first time in 4 weeks, I pretty much forgot the timing for everything, but let's do it anyways. Let's get into our recap. Okay. Last time, on Dungeons & Dragons Ball Z, after witnessing the appearance of the tear in the sky, the first definitive sign of the oncoming ruin, our heroes wasted no time setting out for the next quest to reclaim another world-saving artifact, of which little is known. As they trekked toward and through the sands, their search led them through villages possessed by mysterious knights, and to the gravesite of history's greatest hero. Finally, though, they made a great discovery. Our heroes found an entire lizard folk civilization hidden in the valley of the vast rockscapes of northern Arsenfell. While the lizard folk are normally hostile to outsiders, the pharaoh allowed the newcomers into its city of Oshri in hopes that they might be able to help root out the leaders of the supposed insurrection. The party was quick to locate the alleged rebels, only to discover their ragtag group of hopeful teenagers led by Bast, who insists that the old philanthropist Reshi is the rightful pharaoh. Unlike most lizard folk, he is capable of magic, which is the mark of the divine right to rule. Our heroes are now faced with the decision. In 3 days is the Holy Sacrish Day. They must either turn over Bast and Reshi to the pharaoh, or help Bast overthrow the pharaoh to put the reluctant Reshi on the throne. Who will our party choose to support? What are the repercussions for interfering with another society's fragile politics? Will they invoke the wrath of yet another god? Let's find out together, now on Dungeons & Dragons Ball Z.
Yeah.
Timing.
See, I was early because I usually like doing the questions when like the instrumental goes off, but that's okay. So anyways, welcome back everyone. It's been a hot minute since we've been in this world for D&D. Now, I did briefly cover everything in our recap, but just because it's been so long, I do kind of want to reiterate what was going on. You guys had come across several parties of interest, namely the Pharaoh Atsu, his advisor Reshin, and then you had gone to locate the rebels, who are Bast, the teenage lizard folk, as well as Reshi, this old philanthropist who has exhibited magical powers. So far, you've kind of declared your allegiance to the latter party, while still feigning allegiance with the pharaoh. And I believe that we last left off at night after you had done some days' work of investigations, and you had some other plans to look into other things throughout the city. So unless you have anything you want to discuss before you take a long rest, we're gonna start again in the morning after you had gotten a good night's sleep. Okay, morning it is. So you guys all.
It sounds like Baron wanted to do something.
Oh, he didn't unmute fast enough.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead. You can go ahead.
So as we're getting ready to go to sleep in our mediocre quarters, we're inside the palace, right?
You are in the palace servants' quarters. It's not bad. It's just not like royalty level.
Right.
No, it's like nice.
We've had worse.
You have.
We have had far worse.
And some of us had better.
I'm going to do something that I have not done yet, and that is I'm going to cast Commune.
Oh, I wasn't ready.
I know you weren't.
Oh my god!
I almost felt like you were trying to skip this long rest so that I wouldn't do this. But yeah, I am going to try and commune with Alibol.
Wow, I think I've only ever had to voice him over text. What's he supposed to sound like? Okay.
Like, we've had discussions before, but we haven't really picked a voice for him.
No, I also don't have a wide
Can
range.
you speak with a drunken slur?
Do not! That is sacrilegious.
Okay,
Is that out of
so
character?
the fun thing about commune specifically is that I can only answer yes or no
Sure.
for your questions.
Yeah, so Alibol, as I interpret it, is Alibol is kind of like up in the godly heavens. It's not one of those little bar escapades that we have.
Yeah, no, he's up chilling in the divine bar.
Sure. Wow, he's in the
I feel
VIP?
like he sounds like a drunken Irishman.
He's definitely not Irish. Most certainly. but that is a good metaphor, I think. So paint me a picture here. How are you reaching out to your god? What are you asking?
Are we paying attention or are we sleeping?
Yeah, have you waited
we
till
all in the
everyone's
same
gone
quarters?
to sleep? You are sharing a singular room with
Right.
bunk beds, I believe. It has been 4 weeks, so.
All right, then I couldn't remember if we were in separate rooms or not, but since everyone's here,
You can leave the room too.
No, that's fine. I am going to get in a crisscross applesauce position, and I'm going to hold my mug, and I'm gonna start to meditate. And
Roll a wisdom saving throw. Are you this introspective?
let's find
I'm
out.
just kidding. You
Can
don't
you
have to roll.
meditate?
Okay, I was like, really? Oh, okay.
No, I was just kidding.
Wow.
And to pretext this, the stuff that we've done over the last day or so, right? It's been a day, is that we run into this group and we're trying to figure out if we want to support their cause, which it seems like we do, to effectively overthrow the pharaoh.
Yes.
And we're trying to figure out.
One thing to note is, in my world, gods are not all knowing. They
Sure.
pay attention to what they want to pay attention to, right?
Right.
So, just so you know, go ahead.
Yep. Duly noted. And the point of interest that we're at right now is that the pharaoh has a scepter that we are suspicious of. So
Yes.
I have 3 questions, and I guess I'll kind of mumble this out. Do I reach connection with Albal? Is commune? Am I getting a hold line?
Yeah, it's playing that one song from the island.
Nice, good. Well, I'm glad Albal liked that song too. Do you have that song? You should play that.
I
song.
do. I can put that on.
Okay.
This playlist is impossible to navigate. There we go.
That sounds all right. Okay, so I have my eyes closed. I'm like, guys, I was able to connect to the VIP lounge, and we have 3 yes or no questions we can ask Albal that might help us on our quest.
Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. What color underwear does he wear? Does he
Poofers?
wear underwear? That's 2 questions. Hold on.
I'm glad that he can't hear you, Poofers.
And there goes 2 of 3 questions.
Oh, I can.
Do those count as questions? Damn it!
Damn it. And we're done.
What's his favorite color?
Good, great communing there.
What is the
Albal, what's
airspeed
your favorite
velocity?
I feel like Poofers is like talking into my face like I'm a phone, you know, like talking into the receiver.
She totally is.
So we have 3
That's
questions:
awesome.
yes or no.
Yeah, eventually you hit like the end of the hold music and it says, "Yo, Owlball here. Leave a message and you'll get a yes or no answer." Out.
We should probably ask him if the scepter, or if the current pharaoh actually has powers on his own. You know, what's his claim?
Sounds helpful.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
I will say that you should make sure you ask questions that you think he'll know the answer to.
sure.
Ooh, have you talked to Albal about the artifacts
How would
before?
he
Would
not?
he know if the scepter was an artifact? I wonder.
That's kind of hard to say because I've talked to Albal about it, but the only problem is that the whole situation is kind of blurry with all the what I would assume is dark magic.
You can roll
So
history in that if you want.
Sure. Why the heck not? One sec.
We might want to ask if we've even seen this artifact, because if we have, that would kind of, I mean, that's something that would be pretty important, and I'm sure he's paying attention to, right? So if we've seen this specific artifact, then it probably leads us a pretty good way of confirming where it is.
It's 12 on that
wait.
history check.
Okay.
We have a suspicion that
That it's the scepter.
the scepter is an artifact,
Right.
or at least some. What was
That's
it?
our best idea for it.
If it's not an actual artifact, what was the other? terminology for it?
Oh yeah, like
The
a
fake
faux
one?
artifact. Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't it
What
make-
was
Well,
it?
I think the artifact energy has changed since the ruins started.
That
So
is
we don't
accurate.
really know what to
Okay.
look for.
Well, I think that's a pretty prudent question. We want to ask about the pharaoh. We want to ask about the scepter, something along the lines, and then a third one. But what did you
He
mean?
might know
Something he
nothing
would
about
know.
the pharaoh, though. So, because
Uh,
he might just not be paying attention to the bird people.
He's not omniscient
lizard
or
people.
omnipotent. You know, he's not all knowing or all seeing. So
Okay.
there might be like, would it be fair to say this, DM, that he could potentially resource check something? Like, you know, he'd be able to know if someone has some
Check
kind of
with his
connection to a
buddies.
god, or like a reference check.
Mm-hmm.
So the way gods work in this world is they all have a domain that they pay attention to.
Sure.
And so like let's say like, you know, Erebir asks Selûne, the moon goddess, something about revelry. She's not gonna have any idea, right? That's not in her, like, she doesn't care about that, so she doesn't work on that. Gods can have friends and they like talk to each other and stuff like that. So it is a possibility that he would like check in with his, you know,
He
group
is
of
a very
bros.
social.
He's a very social god. He's also a very minor god. He's not as well known as other gods. So
Absolutely.
he's as an entire court of gods. So you know his resources may not be as vast as theirs either. With
Feel
your
like-
12, just because I want to get this out of the way before we forget, you do recall having a conversation on the ruin specifically with Alabal.
Right.
And the gist of what he told you was the ruin and the artifacts are not divine. The gods are a little bit afraid of them, of the artifacts. They are not celestial in nature, and gods can't actually use them because they are infernal. So his understanding of the art, like he would know what they are. Most gods do, and he would know their purpose and everything like that. But he wouldn't have like power over them or necessarily the ability to detect them per se. So when he told you about the ruin, he said that most gods, and this was in the context of when you were working against Lolth, most of the gods are trying to find a way to survive the ruin, because the ruin doesn't just kill mortals, it wipes out mortals, and without mortals to worship them, gods don't exist. Gods depend on the living to exist.
Right.
So he was one of the gods who was kind of like, you know, if worlds end, let's celebrate, rather than let's try and find a way to survive. That's what you recall from your conversation.
Gotcha.
Would it be fair to say that, I mean, all the gods have a pretty good interest in the ruin and or artifacts, so they would at least have a pretty good understanding of like where they are or what's going on with them?
Gods have an interest in the artifacts in terms of if some of the mortals can get those together and do something about it, they might continue to exist.
Got it.
But they themselves can't have a direct hand in it.
So really, they're just rooting for us to not all die.
So
Yeah,
they're
pretty much.
cheerleaders.
That's
the
the
TLDR.
essence of it. A lot of the gods are kind of really busy with their stuff that they have to do. You know, like the top tier gods who are on the divine court are not necessarily going to have the time to go nitpick and help a specific group of 6 people trying to save the world. They have thousands of people relying on them.
Right.
Some gods are just okay with the world ending, like Biren's god. Others, like Lolth, are trying to find loopholes to survive anyways.
From what I've seen and be experienced, there's a lot of upheaval and a lot of chaos going on with the gods right now.
The gods are not
blinded.
happy about probably dying.
No, probably not.
There's a lot of stuff
There's a
going
lot
on
of
for them.
chaos.
Are infernal gods a thing?
No.
Okay.
Wouldn't those just be demons?
Yes.
Okay. That does add some clarity on what our questions could be. I feel like they still should, in some way or another, they need to revolve around the Pharaoh, probably, right?
Well, that's where we're questioning if he would actually know, though.
There's also
Like, he has a.
sorry, Sean, really quick. As you know, there is a god that rules the city. Now continue.
There's a god that rules the city.
That's right. Yeah,
Becky.
they like the god.
Okay.
Right? I think it's Seki.
No,
Okay.
Seki is the court artist.
Oh.
one who led us here.
He's a
god-
really
What's
good
the
artist.
name of the god?
It has been for weeks. The god's name is Zook, and
Oh, never mind.
Is that the one with all the
he-
statues and stuff?
yeah,
The old guy makes the statues of him.
he chooses the pharaoh. There's only one magic user among lizard folk, and that is the pharaoh, and that is the person chosen.
You can
Maybe
ask
we
him if Zook chose this pharaoh. That's
I was just gonna
here,
say that.
you know?
Okay. Question.
And then maybe if not, is Reshi the rightful pharaoh?
Ooh, that's
Because
a
that's
good
the answer.
follow-up question. Good follow-up question based on the answer. Okay. Alable, did Zuki choose the pharaoh? Is it Zook?
name?
Zuki?
Zook. Zook.
Zook?
Zook.
I'm switching the song. It's not
What?
serious enough.
Oh.
Yeah, Zook.
No, you can't just say like, "Hey, it's me." You have to pray. You gotta butter him up a little
Role
bit.
I
play.
think you gotta start getting drunk.
I feel like you should be drinking while you.
So as I'm holding my mug, I do one of these like ladies drinking their coffee sips. Do one of these, and I go, Alable, master of drinks, greater illusionist, and then I ask my question:
What
Zook
was the question again?
did Zook choose the current pharaoh?
You wear
Yes,
underwear.
Get some dial-up tones for a while. Like he's
Yeah,
processing.
You want me to role play and then you give me dial tones?
No one's processing. He has to think about it.
Hmm.
Yes.
Interesting. I relay this to the rest of the group that the god did in fact choose the pharaoh.
Ask him
Hmm.
who is the pharaoh. What's the name of the current pharaoh? Because he might be under the impression that the pharaoh is Reshi, the old guy.
Ooh.
You could say, is the current, is the chosen pharaoh the one
Watson?
currently on?
Or you
the
could just ask,
throne
is the
or
chosen
whatever?
pharaoh? Yeah, what's his name?
I think
Well,
it's
it has to be
Osman.
yet.
No one asked his name. I've said it several times, but no one has ever asked.
Can
the
you
pharaoh's
say it
name.
again?
Atsu.
Atsu?
That's the
Atsu.
current pharaoh.
Sorry, I wrote it down.
You can ask if Atsu is the chosen pharaoh.
Did you just ask that?
Oh, well, I asked if Zook chose the current pharaoh.
Okay.
But we were under the presumption that maybe
Okay.
there was
No,
something.
that's fair. Go ahead.
And what's the what's our helping person that's supposed to potentially be the actual
Reshi.
Reshi?
Mhm.
Do we want to ask in a different way then? Do we want to ask if Reshi is actually the chosen one?
Sure, I'm fine with that.
Master Illusionist, is Reshi the chosen one?
No.
Shit. Guys, what did we do?
Oh,
This
no.
has upended our plans.
This is not what I was expecting at all.
Damn.
Well, we can't really help them overthrow the rightful pharaoh. I
What if the
guess?
pharaoh is the scepter?
You said chosen, not rightful.
Oh, this god is hanging on the semantics.
Just be careful with the semantics you could choose because they are important.
Okay. We have one more.
Oh, dang.
So I think that the five of us could be smart enough to come up with the proper chosen language.
Is Reshi the rightful pharaoh? What do you think?
Are we good with that?
You have to say it. Like, poofers can't say it.
You can ask 3 more tomorrow.
No, I'm asking, are we good with that language to the group? And this whole time, I'm holding my cup and I'm like, are we good with this?
I mean,
Let's give it a go.
What was the specific language you
unless
used?
anybody has any other ideas or other thoughts.
Is Reshi the rightful pharaoh? Oh, randomly hickey drunken god. Is Reshi the rightful pharaoh?
Unclear.
Magic 8-ball garbage.
Nothing's
I'm
yes
just-
or no.
Signs
answer.
point
I'm
to
just
maybe.
following the rules of the spell.
She is.
Chosen, but we didn't ask if the god chose him, or if the people did, or if he chose himself.
So the
Your
first
three
one.
questions. Your 3 questions with the exact wording that you gave me. Did Zook choose the current pharaoh? Is which you got yes. Is Reshi the chosen one? You got no. Is Reshi the rightful pharaoh? You got unclear.
Well, it wasn't a no on Reshi, and we don't exactly know who chose him. And the current pharaoh could actually be Reshi. We just don't know. We weren't specific enough in our questions.
It's my first time, guys.
Yeah, this doesn't happen.
This has never happened to me before.
It's okay. Your
Um,
first commune with the god, can be a little.
But
overwhelming.
Owl's just up there with a magic 8-ball shaking it and giggling to himself.
yeah,
Probably.
probably.
Sounds like something you would do.
Sounds like it. Okay. And then I kind of snap out of my crisscross applesauce position.
You feel a
Well,
little
that
drunk. You feel a little buzzed.
I should do this more often. That was a little bit vague, but it does seem that based on our language, it seems like the current pharaoh does have some sort of potential claim, but it also seems that Reshi has some valid reason to sit on that throne. And based off of what we experienced before, I'm still inclined to stay the course.
Yeah. All right.
I'm
guess
a
we
lot
should
less
just-
sure of things now.
Well, I'm not less sure. I'm just equally as unsure.
That's a good way to put it. Because I was asking those questions for clarity, and I
We
kind
got
of,
none. We got unclear as an answer.
yeah.
All right, I guess we should just go to bed and figure out a way to frame this whole thing on Jafar 2. What was his name?
Well,
Electric Boogaloo.
since I only need 4 hours during their 4 hours, I would like to try and commune with Saloon.
Oh my, Anastasia's like, eye roll.
Hmm.
How many gods are we gonna talk to?
All
Well,
of
we
them.
only have access to 2, so.
Yeah, she just gets a lot of calls.
Actually, we have access to 3.
Oh, 3. Sorry,
No,
I'm sorry.
God. We
All
don't
right,
talk
how
about
are
that
you gonna
third
try
one.
and commune with her?
Well, how I always do is when I sit and I rub my necklace, my moon necklace.
Can you make a religion check for me?
Yes.
All right.
19.
So you sit and you focus and meditate for a while and try to reach out to your goddess. She seems difficult to reach, like she is busy with other things right now. And the answer you get, well, actually, why don't you ask what you want to ask first?
I say, Saloon, I know you are very busy with all that is going on right now. And my priority right now is to find these artifacts so that we can end this rune and you will be safe. I reach out to you for guidance in finding this artifact. And if you have any guidance as to how I can help the people here and attain this artifact, I would be forever grateful. And would I be doing the right thing in helping Reshi to claim his rightful throne?
Gods cannot have a hand in the efforts and paths taken by mortals. It is your decision and your journey to take, and it is all leading up to a growth which will allow you to serve me in the best way possible. She's not going to give you an answer.
Gods suck. They
I'm not gonna spoil the whole storyline and bail you guys out. It's not gonna happen.
Please.
What
Dial tone out.
We do have that one question.
You
that
do
we
have that one
ask
question.
to the information god that knows everything that there is to know, essentially.
Are we really going to use it on the lizard?
No,
people?
I just
No.
want to remind you guys that we have that.
Duly noted.
Yeah,
Which we're never gonna use.
So I
I'm-
share with what Saloon has communicated with me with everybody else once everyone's awake.
Well, this is
What do you,
very
what do you tell
unhelpful.
them? What do you tell them specifically?
What you told me.
Nope.
Basically that she's not gonna have a hand and that I'm on a path.
Yeah, I'm sensing this is a
server.
theme from the gods here. We're just gonna have to solve this one the old-fashioned way with our intellectual prowess.
Oh, God.
Well, I'm benched.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Troy, go draw some maps or something.
I'm good at that, actually.
Yeah, the
I
gods
can-
have better things to do than watch over you guys. So
Okay, so we are supposed to be investigating people discussing a rebellion against the pharaoh, right? And we're going
So-
to pin it on Jafar too.
Right.
So I don't know what you want to do, but the logistics of what's going on. You have 2 full days until Sacresh Day, where the pharaoh expects to make a sacrifice of the insurrection's leader. You have located that insurrection and talked with them, and you have told Bast, who is the leader, that you were going to help him instead. Use Sacresh Day as a sort of reason to support Reshi becoming pharaoh. He thinks that if you show the people that Reshi's a true magic user on and overthrow the pharaoh on a holy day, that it will be sort of like showing that he's the divine chosen one. So either way, whether you choose to turn the insurrection leader over or you choose to help the insurrection, you have 2 full days to figure things out, and then it's time.
So, I think where we were at last as well was that we're interested in that scepter. Because that scepter
We are.
kind of
We
seemed
are.
like it may have some kind of powers. Or
Maybe we should go talk to Jafar too about the scepter. That way we can kind of get a little bit of information about Jafar too and what we're interested in at the same time.
we also have our tiefling rogue, who may come in handy at
Ah!
looking.
Magnus, when did you get here?
I'm very, very sneaky.
He followed us here. Did you see that thing in the desert and not help us?
We,
I mean-
we,
Maybe.
There were fire
I-
people coming out of
I was
air.
hoping.
I forgot about that.
I saw super scary kinfolk from you.
we highly underestimate his sneakiness.
Uh,
I vote we nab the scepter and bail. This is-
I can do that.
I'm so
Steal
lost,
the
guys.
scepter.
My head hurts as to what, like, we were so clear on our plans, and now this whole
No, we have
communion
clear
thing-
plans.
nah,
I
No,
thought we were gonna go to
We
the
don't.
library and try and get some more information on the line of pharaohs and their power scepter, and also kind of talk around because we were possibly gonna blame Reshin for the insurrection, and then on maybe I think on the day where we sacrifice, we somehow prove that the current pharaoh doesn't have powers by taking away his scepter and being like, do magic now, and then have
Yep. No, that's
Reshi do magic in front of everybody.
that sounds accurate.
Here's,
So I think the next step
But
is
evil
that,
Jafar needs to be contained.
yes,
He's given us many sly looks, and I'm not down for that.
here's what
that
we can
side
do.
eye
If-
is growing old.
If we can just get a piece of clothing or cloth that he's wearing, I can just go invisible, sneak in there, get the scepter, drop this little piece of clothing, so it looks like he's framed. Everything stays invisible that I'll carry. Sneak out, drop scepter, done.
Okay, can I just say I like that idea, but I mean, for the record, I think as much as we want to help the civilization, our top priority is the whole world. So scepter is number one. Whether
As-
we uproot Whether we up, I mean, I'm being fully serious. That thing in the sky is terrorizing everything, not just this little
But
community.
if we can kill 2 birds with 1 stone, you know,
Well, I'm
a
not
bunch
saying
of
that
people
we
happy,
won't. No,
and then they live
I'm
on.
not saying
And
we don't
Boofers
try
has
that.
dinner.
As
But-
all-knowing dungeon master, stealing the scepter from a heavily guarded pharaoh, even with invisibility, might be tougher than it seems.
A
No,
friendly
I'm-
hint to not go steal
Well,
from the pharaoh
I'm-
directly.
You are
I'm not-
welcome to try, but I'm telling you, there are
I-
literally hundreds of guards here.
I'm not saying
What?
that. I'm saying if we get to a point in this part where we're like, well, one or the other,
Sure.
it's clear which one we need to do
So
for
I,
the better of everybody.
so I think the first step is we need to gain a little bit more information and then make our move. And I'm not necessarily against the idea of stealing or manipulating the scepter in some way.
Can we
Let's
like
gather
illusion
some
it?
information first.
Can you magic-y people make one that looks the same? If he can't really use it, if he's not magic-y?
I can
That's
arts
kinda
and
what I was
crafts one
thinking.
that's identical. It'll look beautiful.
It's gonna be a twig with some
poofers.
glue.
I will get some supplies from our friend, what's her
Glitter.
name, Seki.
Just out of courtesy, because I did take notes on it from last time, because I knew I'd forget. Your last plan when we had left off was to go to the Imperial Library and do some research there. You
Yeah, I
also
think we
had
need to gather information.
you had some interest in looking into Russian more. This is what you listed to me. And you also had interest in going to the Overseer's camp / mining area in town. I'm not entirely sure why, but that was on the list. So
I don't remember why we wanted to do that either.
Mm,
Oh, somebody gave us information about like a possible escape route through the waterways.
the
Yeah.
waterway,
Okay.
what we learned about the waterways was they're used to supply the entire town. So when
we took a
Bast
tour
had,
of that.
yeah, when Bast had asked you, one of the things that he asked you to do, among many things, was to try and figure out guard routes so that if they're able to get a big enough rebellion force together, they're going to be able to effectively distract the guards through town so that they don't come and hoard you guys when you're trying to fight the pharaoh or whatever.
And we find the waterway that goes into the temple and dump my doses of heroin in it.
No waterway goes into the temple. No, goes
I
underneath.
feel like that would be heavily diluted and not do anything.
Everybody just feels slightly happier that day.
Just a really nice
Today,
day
a
out.
great day. Yeah, it's pretty good, man.
We should go check the library, and then
Let's
we should
go to
from
the library.
Okay.
Hoofers likes the library.
To the library.
Make your way to the Imperial
library.
Library.
Shush, DM. We're making our way to the library.
don't cut us shy on this. This is the one thing we get.
On your way to the library, you pass several guards who give you dirty looks as you walk by. You also pass through the halls of the palace. A number of what look like maybe courtesans or other sorts of noble officials, that kind of deal. Ask the way for directions a couple times and eventually make it to the library, which you've apparently already arrived at, according to the transition. Anyways, you walk into the library, which the doors are actually very nice. They're carved of like sandstone, but embedded into them are panels of stained glass that kind of have the themes of record keeping, books, knowledge, that sort of stuff. Inside, behind the front desk, is an older lady lizard folk. She wears 2 little like glasses on the end of her snout, which is kind of cute. And she looks up and seems startled to see a bunch of outsiders, non-lizard folk here, especially ones that you would think that only specific sorts of people are allowed in here, not just the entire public. But she's especially surprised to see a bunch of non-lizard folk. Pushes up her glasses a little bit and says, I'm supposed to do the raspy voice. I've heard that there had been some newcomers. I suppose that you were then.
That would be us. Let's see here. What are we? Salacious, saucy. The 6 today. We don't have an adjective today.
I don't know what that means. Is
Studious 6.
Oh, that's a good one. We are the Studious Six.
I shine a big smile across my
there are
face.
actually 6 of you today. Very interesting.
Wait, who else is with us?
Cleo.
Cleo?
Cleo.
Chloe? I thought we were calling
Cleo.
Wait, I thought it was Chloe.
It's
It's
Chloe.
Cleo, and she will absolutely attack anyone who calls her anything else. No joke.
You
We
will be
roll
smitten.
initiative right
I
now.
swear I remembered Chloe.
Thank
Her
you.
name is
You
Cleo.
too.
What were we calling her before?
Somebody call her that.
I will have you roll initiative right now and fight you and kill your character over this name.
Wow. Wow.
Goodness.
I'm sorry. What is your name,
I'm
librarian?
just gonna write down Cleo real quick.
She pushes up her glasses again. You can call me Lady Kiri. I'm the overseer of the library.
We were interested in. We're actually. I know we're unusual, but we're actually commissioned here by the Pharaoh himself. We're investigating certain happenings in the city, and we're also trying to understand some history of the town and of the Pharaoh in general. Is there a section?
Well, I'm afraid that the books are all written in our native tongue, but I can certainly translate some of our more popular pieces for you.
I think we'll be okay on our own, actually. Aravir and I can both read other languages.
I suppose let me just pull out some of the main books for you then. And she goes deeper into the archives, returns a few minutes later with 3 different books. Now these are our most popular reads on Oshri and its history, as well as its politics. This one, and she opens it to a specific page, and pushes that towards you across the desk. This is on the Pharaoh, and the history of the lineage and those selected. Opens another book to a page, pushes that to you. This is on Oshri and its history and traditions. And the 3rd book she pushes to you, also opening to a page. This is on our Lord God Zook and his great wisdom and influence upon our people.
Is there any information in these books about the scepter that the Pharaoh carries?
Let me go look for another book on that, but I do think it is just a sort of artifact passed down by the pharaohs.
An artifact, you say?
Yes, that is what I said.
I say, or never mind.
So it's been passed down from pharaoh to pharaoh. So it's ancient. It's been around for a long time.
So it's
Yes.
Pharaoh Ancient. Oh,
I don't understand.
Boo.
Okay, thank you very much for this. Do you guys want to go read? Aravir and I can read these to you.
yeah, sure.
Which one would you like to read first?
We'll start with book number 1.
When we go to the table, I look over at Troy and I'm like, here, and I like slide a hand, minor illusion, a little like picture book in front of him.
Some crayons in case you wanted to color.
This is the book on the pharaoh. Would you prefer I send you the excerpt for you to read out loud, or would you like me to read it out loud?
You can read it.
Ooh, an excerpt.
You just... Okay. This is the book on the pharaohs.
In the raspy voice.
No thank you. The pharaoh of Atsu, the pharaoh of Oshri is chosen by divine right and is the mortal incarnation of Lord Zook that coexists alongside his divine presence. The pharaoh is the vessel through which Zook's holy power and wisdom is channeled. He is the voice and will of Zook himself. Unlike his divine counterpart, though, the pharaoh is not immortal. Upon his death, Zook expresses his selection for the new pharaoh through the gift of magic. By nature, lizard folk do not possess the capacity for magic. It is not in the design of our souls to be able to bond with the weave of magic which pervades the world. For the pharaoh, Zook provides a bridge between his mortal soul, the divine realm, and the weave of magic, allowing him to both commune with his deity counterpart and to perform the magic gifted by Zook. Historically, the pharaoh has been selected from the upper echelons of Oshri society. No mortal can pretend to know Zook's reasoning, but it is supposed that it is this class that has the best access to education, policymaking, power over Oshrian tradition, and the like. It is likely that elevating someone such as an illiterate slave to power would not only be extremely difficult and ill-received, but likely disastrous for Austrian tradition, as an upheaval of custom would be all but inevitable. At the time of this writing, Austria's pharaoh is Lord Pharaoh Mali of the Riliki bloodline. His mother, Lady Pharaoh Niki, served as well. The position of pharaoh has remained in the Riliki bloodline for 6 more generations. Reversed chronologically, these pharaohs have been Styx, Ilia, Takaro, Garo, Pyre, and Yatta. Prior to this, the pharaohs were selected from across Austria's leading noble families, including Uryu, Tilo, and Karo.
Got it. Book 2.
I wiped the drool from my mouth and closed my jaw.
Okay, second book is on Austrian history and tradition. Okay, here we go. Austria is a civilization founded upon 2 vitally important values: our reverence and worship of Lord God Zook and the preservation of our customs. While records do not exist to recall the arrival or creation of our ancestors or the founding of Austria, we are confident that Zook has been our guardian and leader since the beginning. Over the millennia, he has watched and protected Austria and its people. He ensures that the oasis's rivers which sustain us flow strong, that crops bloom and grow to feed our people, and that our leadership is powerful and true. It is Zook alone who ensures our survival, and it is to him that we dedicate our gratitude, service, and lives. While Zook is the very foundation of Austria, Zook has as his priority the continued preservation of Austrian civilization and tradition. It follows that our priority, second only to the worship of our Lord God, is this. Austria has always persisted according to its current operations and class structure. The noble classes lead, the artisan classes sustain, and the slave class supplies. All are content with the structure. This is what Zook desires, so this is what we desire. This is what enables our survival and prosperity. This is our history, this is how things have always been and always will be. While there have been outcries in the past regarding the treatment of the lower classes, these have always been met with immediate resolution by the pharaoh. Threatening the order of Austria threatens the contentedness and love of Zook and the survival of our people. As such, the people of Austria have grown to accept and embrace our civilization structure, and we choose to dedicate our lives and love to he who protects us.
Eesh. Okay, book 3.
This is on the god Zook. Zook is the Lord God who watches, protects, and loves the lizard folk of Austria. He is the very core of our existence and our survival, and it is only through him that we live, breathe, sustain, and prosper. Zook has overseen the lizard folk from the very beginning, as far as memory and record can recall. It is through his power that the rivers flow and the oasis thrives. He keeps the rocky ground strong and pure and stops the winds from washing them away into sand. He stops the great worms from burrowing beneath and terrorizing the city. He provides us sustenance, meaning, and life itself. All of Austria dedicates itself to the worship of Zook, just as he dedicates himself to his worshippers. Zook interacts directly with his people through the selection of our pharaoh, who leads our people for the duration of their mortal life. As lizard folk are unable to use magic, Zook marks his selection of pharaoh through the gift of magic. Only the pharaoh is able to communicate directly with Zook, though he may be assisted by oracles and shaman with profound connections to our god. The reason for this power is that the pharaoh is the mortal incarnation of Zook himself. The pharaoh is godlike in this regard and is the conduit through which Zook expresses his desires and intentions. Our pharaohs have, across generations, spoken of Zook's desire to preserve Austrian tradition. He has a profound love for our society as it stands, in isolation and imperfection. He loves our customs, our traditions, and our city structure, and our way of life. It has thus become Austrian tradition to preserve itself, and all of Austria's people across all classes work towards this goal.
I get the feeling that they don't like changing tradition. At least, the upper classes don't. And it was probably an upper class guy who wrote this.
Well, yeah, I mean, even if they didn't get the magic, they're not gonna give it to someone in a slave
It sounds like even
to take over. They want
even if we can prove it, are people willing to accept it? That Reshi is the rightful pharaoh?
Not the people on top. Maybe not even the lower class people, because they've probably been educated with this, right? They probably think that if this changes, something's really wrong. But we also have seen that some people do want it to change. So.
Does it say anywhere on the book who the author of it was? Who the not author, but who wrote the dang thing?
I mean, it's an arbitrary lizard folk name, not one that you would know. Probably
We can
what
assume
happens
that
later.
anything in here is going to be in line with, the teachings of this palace. So I don't
Yeah.
think they'd put anything that says the working class should rise up.
Okay. And what exactly did we learn from our commune with Alvol? The questions.
Nothing.
Okay.
Yeah,
You
we
actually
didn't.
did learn
So,
some very
we-
important things.
should we maybe just let the people figure it out for themselves and just get the staff
Find the artifact and bail.
and not solve
We
every
don't
single
even know that
person's
the
problem?
staff is the artifact.
But if nothing else, it's a cool staff.
Yeah, I want cool staff.
We leave with a cool
It's a
staff
good
as a parting
shusher.
gift.
What happens if we steal their staff? We find out that it's not the artifacts, and then we have to come back here and fight off 800 lizard people because we stole their staff.
It's only if we get caught.
I like those odds, anyways.
Oh, the weird 5 outsiders that they've had first in a generation
6.
disappear along
6.
with their
6.
staff. Who could have done that?
So
By far.
our DM is saying that we did learn some things from that commune. I'm not really sure what exactly.
We learned that somebody, whether it was Zook or not, chose the Pharaoh.
Right. So what? That's right. So
You
what?
want me to read the questions again?
Sure, go for it.
Did Zook choose the current pharaoh? Yes. Is Reshi the chosen one? No. Is Reshi the rightful pharaoh? Unclear.
So we don't know. In question 2, we didn't specify who chose. Is he chosen by the people or is he chosen by the god?
You
So
also
we don't
didn't
know.
specify chosen for what purpose.
So,
Right. So that question is just a throwaway.
and then we ask if the current pharaoh was chosen by Zook, which is yes, but Zook might consider
Well, but that's
Reshi to
not-
be a current pharaoh.
Yes, that's not so. Yes, because he can choose who it is, whether the civilization has officially recognized that person or not. It could still be. I mean, it could be
Oh.
anybody, and it could have been chosen by Zook, even if it's the person holding the scepter sitting in the palace or not.
So this history says that it has always been somebody in the noble classes that's been pharaoh. But what happens if it's occasionally from the noble class, and when it's not, they just pretend like it is? So what if Reshi isn't the first poor guy to be able to do magic? What happens if more than one person can do magic? What happens if this whole history thing is wrong?
Could be. Probably is, to be honest.
I mean, if you were poor and you woke up and found out that you could do magic, but then everybody's telling you that the poor people shouldn't upheave tradition, would you just show the world that you had magic? Because I wouldn't. I'd be like, nope, no magic here. It's fine. Please don't kill me, so that the next pharaoh can be chosen from a noble class.
Fine, everything's fine.
Or maybe they ran away because, I mean, in my case, I got magic and told to keep it a secret because it would upheave the entire, basically, civilization for us.
So the
So I
only
hid
thing
it
that
and
we
ran
really
away.
know for sure is that Reshi can perform magic. We don't know if the current pharaoh can actually perform magic or if it's just the scepter or something else that's allowing him to perform it. And we don't even know if the scepter is the artifact that we're looking for. So what's our goal here?
What was? How did that even come to pass? Is that just an assumption? The scepter is the artifact.
It's the
Or
only
did we feel
magical-ish
something?
thing that we've seen here.
Okay,
Yes.
and we
But
felt
we-
like
No, so we
uh,
don't know what the scepter is supposed to feel like anymore because since the runes started, all of the artifacts magic has changed. So we have no idea.
Okay,
We're pretty much just shooting in the dark.
so
Lots of leads.
maybe we
Yeah.
should.
There are lots of leads. It's just kind of trying to prioritize the right one.
Maybe too many is our problem.
Let's
New
list
rule,
our
you
leads
just
out.
handcuff
So
everybody.
yeah, we have Jafar 2. Who else do we have to go talk to today?
I feel like talking
Magic
to.
Kid.
Yeah, there's Reshi, and then who's the leader of the rebellion? The younger one. What's his
Bast.
name?
Bast.
Bast. The
Okay, so we've got Jafar 2,
Fiery guy.
Reshi, Bast. Anybody else?
I don't know how much talking to Bass is going to help. He just wants to go fight.
Yeah, we
people.
know. I feel like we know
We know
everything
where-
we can know
we-
about Bass.
We know his
He's-
priorities.
What
He's
if we
about
get him to
as-
stage a coup and then
He's about as
acquire
deep
the
as
scepter?
Troy.
Just talk to him for 20 minutes.
Yeah, but he didn't seem very. He didn't seem like a very developed character to you.
He's a person that we can
Yeah.
utilize him though.
Fine,
We-
keep
You see
thinking
her
that.
face.
Keep thinking
I
that.
My point is we can very easily use him as a distraction by because he's extremely emotional and getting him fired up and sending him in. Right? For this
I'm sorry,
extremely
are you
developed character.
Are you saying you're just going to send him into the palace alone?
No, I'm coming up with a great plan to use him as a distraction to then acquire our scepter.
So should we? There's a couple
The
things that I
greater
think we
good.
need to try
One
and
of
kind of.
us.
Well, we should verify before we start scapegoating people, which if we need to, we can. I suppose we should talk to Jafar too and try and get more information out of him, like about the scepter or about the additional. I'm trying to figure out details about the Pharaoh that can help us lead us in the right direction without him catching wind that we may be plotting a coup.
Do you think we could do trickery and come up with like minor illusionist scepter?
I mean,
And
we got a
somehow
lot of
utilize
we got
that
a bag full of tricks.
since we all
That's-
have magic.
that's what I was saying.
Ish, we can minor illusion
Hey.
a scepter and be like, I have the scepter. Look, your scepter is a fake, and then
Why?
cast
Don't call me Ish.
and then cast, I don't know, fireworks or something,
Fireworks.
you know, and show that we can do it with that and blame it on the scepter.
Sparkles.
Also, I think that we need to keep in the back of our heads that the previous pharaoh died suddenly of illness in his sleep.
Tons of people that I've came
So-
across have
You
that
know,
same
that's
problem.
that's actually something good question to ask.
Magnus is like that one.
That is a common problem. Trust
Maybe
me.
we should ask if the previous pharaoh was murdered.
No, this is
Who'd
a
we go
common
to
problem
about
that
that?
happens all the time.
Let's just spend all of your time talking to the gods. Give us answers.
I don't.
Give
You
us-
know what? Let's go talk to. Okay, do we want to go talk to Bass and Reshi, or do we want to go talk to Jafar too?
I think Jafar too.
I think we
Okay.
need to build up an idea before we go talk to the big boss.
I think we need information before
Yeah.
we come up with an idea.
Yeah, that's true.
But we don't want to give anything.
Jafar too isn't the
away.
pharaoh, by the way. It's the head
I-
priest.
It's his advisor.
Yeah.
But
In my 9 intelligence, I vote for Magnus's plan. Let's like treat him like a toddler and like make it look like his scepter exploded and blame it on him and just like sneak out with, oh my god, you broke your own scepter, and then just like bail out of there. Come on, we can magic that.
You guys
up,
are
right?
so willing to just doom an entire civilization.
Well,
So
it's
look
not
at
even
the
about that.
sky.
I'm pretty
Look
sure
at
the rune's
sky.
doing that by itself.
Right.
Yeah. But
Right to the world.
here's the thing. We still don't know if the scepter is actually our objective. So we need to figure out
Well,
that. That's
Right.
the primary thing we need to figure out.
But like circling back, it's still a cool scepter.
Yes. Duly noted. But let's try and save the world. But yes,
Okay.
we can get that scepter.
Can people roll a history check just on artifacts in general?
Sure.
What you've experienced with them?
That was a 17 for me.
19.
7.
Oh, poor. I mean, I guess I only needed like one roll because you guys are just gonna tell each other anyways. So,
Oh, sorry, that was my previous one. It was 15.
you guys rolled collectively high enough. So the artifacts that you have encountered so far, the first was hidden in someone's rib cage. That was the artifact known as Immolation's Cage. When you had defeated the werewolf in Hadante prison, as that creature was consumed by the flames of his own wrath, he dissolved away into ash and left the artifact that had been buried inside of him. And what you should take from that is that artifacts are not always visible. The second
So we need to
artifact
Gut people.
second artifact that was found, you guys had no hand in. So there's nothing you can really gather from that one. The third artifact that you dealt with was an imitation artifact known as the Pawn of Opulence, and this was something that had been created by another creature based on the premise of an existing artifact that you don't know about yet. So it's hard to draw conclusions from that, but you do know that it probably took a while to create that. Take from that what you will. And the next artifact that you actually dealt with were the was, I'd have to look up the name. But it had been forged from the collection of gems within the Underdark. It's called Blood's Bane. There we go. It had been forged from the collection of gems within the Underdark, and those gems had a place in a mural in an Underdark city centuries ago. That should tell you that artifacts aren't necessarily new.
Okay, so then it could be the scepter because we have
because of the
evidence
throwback of
that's been around for a long time.
Yep.
That's the information I'm
Right.
giving you, is that don't think that artifacts only appear now. They don't have to be new. They don't have to be visible.
they could.
There's not
Okay,
like-
Gotcha. And they can be complex.
They can be
Um,
complex. They can be hidden. They can be very hard to find. It's like there's not a just because the ruins started they have to appear now.
gotcha.
'Cause I felt
And-
like that. I felt like that was the train you guys were following. So
Yeah, kinda.
just wanted to correct that.
Pretty much.
So if I know you were saying like the artifacts give off a different vibe-ish now, but can we still like locate object since we've
Nope.
felt that? No.
What
That'd
if?
be too
What
easy.
if?
Is that
Yeah,
that
that's
made
a
everything
pickle.
too easy?
That's the pickle we're in.
I'm just throwing it out there, just so we cross off everything. What if Reshi is either an artifact or somehow?
I was
I-
starting to
He
get
could
that
be.
vibe as well. That
I was thinking
maybe
we were gonna gut
Reshi
people.
is the artifact.
I mean,
Right.
if he is not the one who's supposed to be sitting there, but if he's like the only lizard people person that has magic who's not a pharaoh, that says something, right?
Hmm.
Did we ask Rishi how old he was?
At the same
He's
time,
a million years old.
Yeah.
Reshi is good. He does good. He gives off the feeling of good. Everything
This is true.
that relates to these artifacts has been bad, negative.
That's,
Yeah, but do we
that's
know
valid.
that much about? Do we know that
Have
much
they
about
been bad or have
artifacts,
they
though?
just been used for
Mm.
bad?
Right.
Actually,
they've
one
been
of
kind of
them-
bad.
One of them, the Pawn of Opulence, which again, not a full artifact, so it could be different, was intended to be used for good. You just let her finish.
I think we just need one final hint of the direction that we need to go with, and I think it revolves around the scepter. We need like just a small amount of more information. Alable, if you're listening, to push us in the right direction. So I think we need to ask a couple more questions. I think we should go talk to Jafar, and then draw a conclusion.
Okay.
Okay, we'll be right back.
Is Jafar somebody we can just walk up to, or is this somebody that
mean-
we have to like? Because he's kind of a big deal, right?
He
We
hates
prob-
you also.
Yeah, he hates us. We probably have to request a meeting with him because he's kind of high up there.
And also have a plan of some sort, so we're
Right.
not all in there just word vomiting random stuff and then give away what we know.
Yeah, they also still think that we're on their side. So, well, he might not, but we need. Yeah, I think we
He
should
does
have.
not trust us at all. He doesn't want us here, so
Very smart.
All right,
Mm.
so do we want to maybe save the hard conversation for later then? Go talk to the people that like us.
Yeah. Let's ease into this. Tiptoe
Okay.
into the water.
All right, let's go talk to Reshi and Bask then.
Bast and Reshi are in the sort of workers area, somewhere around Area C in the city. They are in the same place that you found them yesterday. They have not yet to move camp. And as you arrive, as with last time, the sort of den that they've occupied is full of sick elderly and orphans, which Reshi actively kind of has a hand in caring for. And in fact, as you arrive, he's doing exactly that. He is sitting around in the room with the children, telling them a story. The elders there and stuff are also listening, just kind of telling a story of the city's traditions. Nothing really groundbreaking or anything like that. Bast is in the courtyard outside that den and sees you, jogs up to kind of greet you. Oh, you're back already. Have you found any of the plans or anything? Have you been able to recruit anyone? Have you found the guard routes? Anything? I mean, the day's coming. We have to hurry.
Let's slow down a little bit. Actually, we're kind of here to just get some more information because we need to, if we need to fully understand the plan before we can set things in motion.
Well, okay. What are your questions?
I actually have some questions for you and how you feel about Reshi. I mean, we've seen what he can do, and we're totally on board. We think he's a great guy. He could make a good leader. He obviously can do magic. How long have you guys known that he could do magic? How did you find him?
Well, I was in one of the orphans on the street that he rescued and helped raise, and I've stuck with him since I've grown old enough to help myself. He's been with me most of my life. I know him very well.
Do you know how old he is?
He's one of the older people in the city, but certainly no more than 65, maybe?
Okay, so since you've known him, it's kind of a weird question, but since you've known him, he has appeared to age.
Yes. Why would you ask that?
It's just a really weird, sometimes I just ask really strange things. It was just, don't worry about it.
She's just a strange cat.
I am a really weird cat. Do you even know what cats are? Anyway. So, he picked you up as an orphan, he raised you, and he was doing magic back then too?
Magic.
I suppose that I guess if he started exhibiting at least something more potent, he never really made a show of anything right around when the last pharaoh died. That's why I think it's rightfully him.
Okay, so he didn't start showing you magic until the last pharaoh died. That's interesting. Huh. So, after, if our plan's successful and we, overthrow current pharaoh and, get Reshi up there in his rightful place, what do you plan to do after? Is he going to be pharaoh, and do you think that he'll help this city, or what's your plan?
I have every confidence that he'll lead Ashri into a new age where the honor of our traditions will be preserved, but the people will be treated better. We won't have starving slaves on the outskirts who are crushed under the weight of the rocks that they carry. Everyone will be treated humanely and be given worth while still preserving the honor of our culture.
So that's how it is where we're from. So I'm on board with that completely. I have a question for you, though. Do you think that a lot of people here, the sense that we get when we're in the palace, which I know is not probably very realistic, but is that it's traditional for the lower class to kind of be treated like dirt? Do you think that enough people here are loyal enough to the pharaoh to just kind of want that to stay the way it is because Zook willed it, or?
There are certainly people of all opinions, but the sense that I get from those I know is that our loyalty is to Zook, and then to the pharaoh. And in that sense, our loyalty is to Zook and our cultures and our traditions and our people. And the pharaoh is supposed to be a conduit for those things. There's much discontent about our treatment, but it is endured for the sake of the god. I think that if those things can be still supported with the presence of a kinder pharaoh, than with the proper precautions and making use of the holiness of Sacre, that people will follow suit and accept the new pharaoh.
So do you think he would keep that kind of slave tradition then? Just make it a little nicer? Do you think he would get rid of it altogether?
I think that there will always be a lower serving class, and it is necessary. It is the way our civilization works, but that does not mean they have to suffer for it.
Okay. That sounds kind of cool. Does anybody else have any questions for?
Bast, if we were to start recruiting, where would be the best place to do so?
Likely among the street dwellers such as myself or the slaves on the outskirts who built the pyramids. The miners are also quite discontent.
Do you have a contact with the slave builders?
I know a few, but they might be considered leaders. Among the slaves there is certainly no position of power.
Noted.
Now, if we didn't show up, what was your plan to get Reshi exposed that he is the rightful pharaoh, and to prove that Atzu isn't really in possession of magic?
It probably would have taken much longer. You bring a lot of assets that will help us overthrow the guards. They're not accustomed to fighting magic. And without your arrival and your help, I think that our plan would have taken many more years.
Do you think that if we could show that the pharaoh doesn't have real magic in front of everyone, that would help the people to not follow the current pharaoh anymore?
Yes, and I think that the best day to do that is on Sacred Day, where they will all be gathered and in the presence of a holy spirit. Should it be on any other day, they might attribute it to some sort of trickery or heresy, but I think that it will be a great benefit to show that the pharaoh has no power and the rightful ruler is Reshi.
Well, it sounds like we definitely have to do it on that day.
All right. Do we want to go talk to Reshi, or?
I have one final question for Bast.
Please, my throat is hurting. Make it quick.
I pour him out of my stein. It is more of like a fruity beverage that helps his throat.
Oh, so kind. Oh, tea. Ginseng tea, my favorite.
When the pharaoh has shown his powers, has he ever seemed like he needed some kind of help to display his powers? Perhaps holding an item or something specific that he wears?
The pharaoh has made few public appearances since he ascended to the throne, and in none of those has he made any sort of magical demonstration.
Interesting. Noted.
That is why I think he's a fraud.
Noted. Has Reshi, does he have, like, for example, like what I poured out of and I hold my stein, does Reshi have some kind of magical item that he uses at all?
Something that he carries with him always.
He seems to think really hard and try and recall. That I know of, he travels only with the clothes on his back. Sometimes he uses a walking
The
stick,
clothes
but
are the artifact.
The artifact. I was just gonna say that.
But
Strap up.
he sometimes walks with a walking stick, but it's never been the same one. He doesn't always need it, is what I'm trying to say.
Noted. I was just curious. I think that's all the questions I have.
Alright. I'm good to
So-
go talk to Reshi. Thanks, Bass. That was very
Wait,
helpful.
what's the progress on the...
We'll keep you updated.
It's really important. Okay. You kind of waits outside impatiently, and you go into this little hovel, which is packed quite full of individuals in need of help. There, Reshi is seated on the dirty floor, surrounded by children, as kind of the older people who are sick and need help are on the beds, wrapped up in blankets and stuff like that. And he is telling a story in his native tongue. She casts comprehend languages. Please don't make me make up a story on the spot. It's just like a fairy tale. But after he sees you enter and he kind of gives you the 1 second thing, finishes up his story, and then exits the hovel, around back on the opposite side of the building as Bast, and says, "Oh, you've returned. What is it that you need?"
Just kind of trying to gather information. Bast seems to, really like you and wants to support you. I
Quite
wanted
a
to know,
spirited child. Yeah.
have you always been able to do magic, or is it a new thing since the pharaoh died?
He seems to get kind of bashful, for lack of better words, maybe. A little bit embarrassed. And he looks around and says, "I suppose it started more recently. I don't want to jump to conclusions. I don't want to. You know how I feel about this entire effort, but it did in fact start right around when the last pharaoh died."
Now, I know Bast is very determined to prove that the current pharaoh is a fraud and you are the rightful pharaoh. If on Sacrilege Day we get to a position where you are to demonstrate your abilities of magic in front of everyone, are you willing to do that? Or
My qualm does not lie with a transition of power or anything like that. If I have any chance to help my people, of course I would take that, but I don't see any way where this can be done peacefully. I don't want to watch blood spilled, especially those of the young ones who support me. Even the guards are only doing their job and following their beliefs. They don't deserve to die. It's not worth it to disturb the peace.
Well, it seems like if perhaps we can create a display to put the Pharaoh on blast, for a lack of a better word, and to show that you were actually passed on the powers from the previous Pharaoh, which by right is through Zook, wouldn't it make sense that the followers on a holy day, like Sacrilege Day, would then turn to you in a peaceful manner?
I don't see a way you could make that happen. It's a day of sacrifice. The Pharaoh is made to demonstrate his powers normally. It is a holy tradition, a ritual. Even gaining a front row audience there is near impossible for someone like me.
Don't worry about getting the tickets. We can probably get you to the show.
You know a guy that knows a guy.
Well, it sounds like no matter what happens, someone's going to be on that sacrificial table. But if we can avoid massive violence by making a display on that day, and we can minimize that to a couple people so that you can better many more, wouldn't that make sense?
also,
Do they accept? Sorry, for the sacrifice. Do they? Maybe I missed it. Can it be a volunteer?
No, the Pharaoh has specifically requested the leader of the insurrection.
Oh,
Yes, so we have to find. That's why we were going to frame
okay.
Jafar too.
All
There-
right. Well, bear with me. I mean, can I whisper to Barry so that if all else fails, I'm whispering to Barry. If all else fails and we cannot do this, could you create a double of yourself and offer yourself as sacrifice as a admission of our failure, and then nobody has to get sacrificed, buying us some time and possibly the audience to make this all work?
I mean, there's definitely a couple ways that we can do this with illusions. I mean, that's
Right.
definitely something that we're going to have to use as well.
Play magic to our strength here is what I'm saying, because we're in a civilization that doesn't really use it,
Sure.
know much about it, and
Something-
you guys are super magic-y and can
Magic.
probably. Anyways, I don't know.
Something we haven't even done yet, which is starting to turn the followers. I suppose, are we speaking in Oldish? Can we just speak in Oldish? I'm sorry, Reshi. One second. And
I do
and
have an
turn.
answer to your question, though, whenever you're ready. I just can't.
Cool.
I'm starting
Oh,
to forget
cool.
what that question was.
Thank you, NPC. Cool. And I turn, and something that we should definitely do though is we have powers. We have the ability to create illusions. We need to start turning the common folk that are being oppressed by using illusions of Zook or what have you. I mean, we've done that in the past with Alabol and other things. It would make sense that if we want to turn people peacefully, and if we can get a majority, then hopefully there won't be violence.
If we can say, hey, Zook, give me a sign, and then all of a sudden darkness emerges from the area, you know, we could easily sell some of these things.
Right, they don't know we can do magic.
Exactly. They don't know I can do magic. They don't know that me as a human can do magic. They don't know me as a lizard folk can do magic. There's a whole rack of us that can do magic.
Uh,
Back to Reshi.
yeah, and then I turn back. Sorry about that.
One thing I will say, even though I don't remember the specifics of your question, I think this is what I was going to get at. The nobles and guards especially, but likely the people of the city will not accept a new pharaoh until the old has died. It is the way things are. If you wish to place me on the throne, that means that Pharaoh Atsu has to die. If that is a sacrifice,
Well,
that is one way, but I don't, like I said, I don't want to watch anyone's blood spilled.
right. But you are a follower of Zook. And if he has given you these powers, you are who he wishes to be in charge. So to not be in charge would be to go against his wishes.
And I bump Barry, and I just do one of these. I show him the magenta push. I'm like, huh?
That
That
We-
point, Eravir, about allegiance to his god rather than to, the morality of his duty, really seems to kind of strike a note with him. And he says, it's a very compelling point, but and honestly one that has potentially swayed me, but as I said, there can't be a new pharaoh unless the old one.
Well, if that's what needs to happen, don't worry, you won't have a hand in it.
I mean, there's a couple ways that we do this.
Well,
Reshi,
I have
we'll-
poison potions.
Yeah, Reshi, we'll do our best to make sure this is non-violent as possible and keep you up to date. Do we have any other questions? I have some plotting that I want to do.
I have kind of a random question. I know that Zook only bestows magic casting upon one person, or I guess channels himself through one person. But you have never in your life seen another one of your folk do any magic besides yourself and the old pharaoh, correct?
That is accurate, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, one last thing.
You have a lot of last things that you
Sorry,
want to
I know.
keep asking.
Last thing. What is the extent of your magic ability? Have you practiced at all? Can you? How far have you gone with this in secret? I'm guessing.
He kind of looks around, make sure no one is listening. It is still a fairly new thing to me, and every day I feel more in control of it, but I think anything beyond minor tricks, minor changes of the environment elude me for now. If you want me to go into battle, I not only would do that, I would only not do that based on moral principles, but I wouldn't be able to keep up, especially in my old age.
Noted.
Is there anything you need that we can help you with just to help take care of those you're taking care of right now in the city?
Aaron can make another feast.
That would always be appreciated. Food, supplies, blankets, shelter, things that we desperately need. Medicine.
Where do you want it?
Just kind of gestures to the den behind him.
I go, wha-bam! And then I create food and water.
I mean, everyone inside rejoices, and there is a great feast underway. I mean, they don't know how that happened. They just think it's like a gift from their god, I guess.
He does care.
Yeah. And then I'll like, I don't know. I put an A somewhere.
Okay. And Reshi kind of says, if that's all, I should get back.
Thank you for your time, Reshi. We'll keep you and Bast updated on kind of what happens in his bear and said, we're gonna try and do this with as little bloodshed as possible. And I look at Magnus.
You should.
You should be looking at all of us. We're terrible at this.
Yeah, all of you are like,
And-
fuck it, let's take this staff and abandon the people.
Just
can't
and
believe
You're
you're
supposed
judging
to be
us.
good guys.
just so
You
we're
should-
clear, you guys, my character has arced so much more better and just being a better person. You guys
That is
have
true.
turned better, so much better-ish. You guys have turned a hard left, all of you.
Hey, we're socially douchebags, but I feel like overall, we want the greater
I've been
good.
so good. I haven't stabbed anybody since the first episode.
But
I'm
since we
doing
got
so good.
arrested in episode 1.
For the record, I want to steal the staff and Rashi, not just the staff.
Steal Rashi too.
He could. I mean,
Bundle
why not
him
just
up.
why not just
Swaddle.
take anything that might be
Like a pet.
related
Let's
to
just
an artifact
destroy
here?
both potential pharaohs and leave the city. I'm sure that'll work out well for everyone.
Right.
So speaking
That's
of
democracy.
That's what they
Really
need.
quick, Rashi tells you should speak with Bast about any plans you have. I know there's a lot of concern if any sort of interference is made with the ritual of Sacrisday, the guards will be all over it. And you should make sure to speak with him about any plans you have.
Okay, noted.
Okay,
Thank you,
goodbye.
Rashi. Okay, bye bye. The idea that I was thinking about, as we're away now, I'll even speak in Oldish to make sure that no one's listening. What if we out the pharaoh, or like we know that he is a fake and a fraud, and we're going to expose him, and we have proof. What if we just exile the guy and say he died? Like why? Like let's just get rid of him.
Well, don't you think it would be more dramatic if we did like a big, this is Zook speaking, some kind of magic and make some
Sure.
stuff, and
Wizard
then
of
just
Oz.
like, the person betraying the pharaoh is that guy, the current pharaoh. We should
So-
suppress him.
I wish you weren't speaking in Oldish right now. That's fine. Go ahead.
What if, to minimize bloodshed, we kill the pharaoh and then have Reshi then show his magic?
See, here's the problem with. Are you talking about in front of everybody? Because I feel like that's.
no.
So if we kill,
Kind of like what
Pharaoh-
they did already with the old pharaoh.
first of all,
But then-
I don't know if we can kill the pharaoh. He's got a lot of guards, so
How am I the good
that
person
might
in
be
this?
hard.
Flip side, what if we also just manufacture Reshi into a noble person, so that when the pharaoh dies, there's no argument of lineage? Why don't we forge a nobleman's ID for Reshi?
Well,
Fake
he
ID.
used to work. Wasn't he of a higher class?
He was of the working class, but he served. He's still of the working class. He did serve in the palace for a time.
Gotcha.
What do you guys think about talking to Bask about our plan and see what he says? He might have some insight.
That's
Might
fine.
be a good idea. We
Let's
could
go talk to Bast.
Let's
You know-
also share this with Chloe or Cleo. Sorry, Cleo.
Yeah, she's just like standing there, like, sorry.
She's just gotten used to this. Like, you guys are fucking
I like
weird.
mentally share with her to keep
Hmm.
her updated when we're.
That's
Great.
very nice of you.
It's not. And
And she
as
replies
fate.
telepathically. You know, there's a god involved here. A lot of these deceitful approaches you're suggesting are not only assuming you can fool an entire civilization with a vast administration and a vast history, but that you won't anger the god in doing so.
That's true. Well, hold the phone though, because yeah, we don't really know what this god wants. Does he actually want current pharaoh fake boy in charge, or does he act? Like what? Shoot.
I mean, doesn't matter because I don't think they're gonna be able to stop us unless
What
he-
happens? Well, a
shows
god
themselves.
can stop us.
I don't
Right,
really
but that
want
means he would have
another.
to- Well, that means he'd have to show himself, and it seems like they really don't like doing that and intervening in.
Well, they don't like intervening in the artifact stuff, but if we're intervening in the only city that this god cares about, he might smite us.
I already have
You
a
wanna get
god that
smoked
hates me. I don't need another
Smoked?
god hating me.
Hmm.
We already still have Wolf after us. We don't need another.
That's
Yeah.
true. Have you guys been waking up with spider bites, by the way?
Yeah, it's weird.
All the time.
Totally normal though. But what if we stage this and do it in the name of Doppio.
Doppio would not.
Frame Doppio.
So I actually like Doppio,
And he's the
I
mischief
really
god,
wanna-
right? Like
but,
that was his thing.
No,
He was a jerk, I thought.
he's a god of calamity, not of mischief.
Exactly. Like accidents happen.
He's
You
also
know, like
been
we
a
were talking
good
about, people
resource
die in
for
their
us.
sleep randomly all the time. Just saying.
If I want to cause
Should-
chaos amongst the gods.
Should
like
we
already
should we
have.
talk to Bast? I feel like we should talk to Bast.
Let's talk to Bast about this.
He's outside sharpening his spear. And you know, stands up at your approach again, looks at you expectantly.
We're back.
Hey, Bast. We just got done speaking with Reshi, and he gave us some valuable information. But we're kind of curious on what would be the best approach to dethrone this pharaoh. And some of the ideas that we had involved deception. And we're
Most
kind
the
of
ideas.
curious about what the people think about using images of Zook to turn a people against the pharaoh.
You wish to display our god in a false image.
Well, isn't
From the way you say that.
currently the
I mean,
currently isn't society as a whole being deceived by the pharaoh right now and claiming that Zook is having the pharaoh be the chosen one?
In a way, yes, but he's not being insulted with false depictions or.
Yeah, I
The
think
pharaoh
maybe-
does not speak ill of him or try and misrepresent him in such negative light.
think we might have to worry about the smiting part.
I definitely don't want to get smoten.
God deception is a
But
no.
what if it-
Got it.
But what if it was with the intent of putting the right pharaoh in the right place?
I would think that this is heresy.
Okay.
Treason against our most important value.
Yeah, Barry. I think that was wrong.
A horrible
You know?
plan, Baron.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
think-
he does not speak for all of us. All right.
What if we just killed the pharaoh?
I think that has to be done either way.
Well, I was
Got
on
it.
board.
I mean,
But
Got
there's
it.
We could've just
Sacrilege
done that.
bad, murder good.
as I said, there are two very important things to consider. One, that this is performed on the Sacred Day, as this will give credibility to the new pharaoh and, of course, the rightful one. But it will help convince the people. Apart from that, there are hundreds of guards, not just within the palace but throughout the city, who will rush to his aid should they catch even a whiff of anything going wrong. That is why it is so vital to find the guard routes and help create diversions throughout the city to draw them elsewhere, that you may have a chance to defeat the pharaoh and demonstrate Rishi's talents.
right. What? Oh, you know, we could introduce them all to Lizard Baron's Day, Laren's Day, the
Laren's
savior
Day.
of the
Yes,
town.
Laren's Day.
Larry for short.
Larry for short.
Who is Laren?
A good friend of mine.
He's a lizard folk as well.
Right,
It's-
outside
it's
of the
just
city.
It's just beer in human form, but in lizard form.
Exactly.
I think we definitely need to start recruiting for the rebellion, and also figuring out those
God,
routes.
story of my life.
Yeah, it sounds like distract and divert is probably the good option here.
Bast,
Man, if only Magnus said we should have a distraction from the coup that was going to get rised up to do something earlier, like an hour ago.
Was that sandwiched in between steal the scepter and kill the pharaoh?
Yeah, through starting a coup.
That was the soggy filling that everyone took out of the sandwich.
Bast. So after talking to our rightful heir to the throne, it seems like he may not want to necessarily participate in all this. How do you propose we get Reshi on board.
You've gotten him on board with even becoming Pharaoh.
Well, I explained to
So
him
how?
that by not following through, he is going against Zook's wishes. If Zook has chosen for him to be his vessel, but he does not act as the vessel, he is going against his god.
He kind of chuckles a bit in a raspy way that I probably couldn't do if I tried, and says, "It is truly a blessing, a turn of fate that you've arrived. I would have never thought to do that.
Dum-dum.
I'm only 16. Give me a break."
He's 15.
16.
We knew that.
And a half. Well, I think while we do all this other stuff, I think that a good route to keep pushing him in the right direction to participate in our little event on the holiday would be to keep reminding him that he is the chosen one by Zook. So hopefully when the time comes, he will do his rightful duty.
Well, I do have one idea about how this could be done. But I don't want to taint any of your ideas should you have your own.
Please share with us.
Please share. We're dumb.
Do you have a blueprint?
Actually.
Schematics.
No.
Bullet points.
Where did you pull that huge map
PowerPoint
out?
presentation.
Our original plan before you had arrived was to find enough volunteers as myself to create distractions according to the guardrails, which we have yet to obtain, to draw as many as we can out into the city, and to block their re-entry. From there, we would have Reshi volunteer, for lack of better words, not actually volunteer, but agree to be made the sacrifice on Sakrish Day, and before he could be sacrificed, have some covert agents, again we didn't have a plan for infiltrating the palace, stop the ceremony when the pharaoh is alone on the balcony over the river, and put an end to the pharaoh and allow Reshi to display his power then.
I love it.
I love it. Let's do it. Let's go get those guard patrol routes.
You really
That's the
couldn't think of
plan?
that on your own. I'm only 16 and I got that.
Okay, we've been here for 2
One
days.
day, 1.5.
Hey, I got an idea. Why
There
don't we
will
go
still-
find out the guard routes?
There will still be guards in the altar, but it should be... If all distractions go according to plan, there should be few enough to deal with.
Well,
Bas-
if you know us, it always goes to plan. So
Absolutely.
we'll be totally fine.
We are batting 1,000 on that. Question: should we prioritize recruiting people to create those blockades, or should we be recruiting people for another purpose, like actually overtaking that area?
I think that most of the recruits would probably be focused on distracting and, as you said, blocking the guards. Another shortage that we have is on supplies. We don't really have a way of destroying or blocking their way back to the palace right now.
What kind of supplies do you need? Would money solve the problem?
I don't think so. The guards would pick up on us purchasing large amounts of supplies.
Could
But-
we pay off the guards? Are any of them easily
There is
earned?
a singular point to the entrance of the palace and the altar, a bridge which, should we be able to overtake, would prevent most of the guards from returning to the palace. It's more how to do that with so few numbers.
What if we
It's
blow
really
up
interesting
the bridge?
that there's a choke point right there on the map.
So curiouser and curiouser. What if we blow up the bridge?
With what?
Kaboom!
Don't worry about that.
With what? Oh, yeah. We can find a way to do that.
Yeah.
I suppose destroying the bridge would work. It would create more work later, but that's okay.
How big and scary is that moat?
It's a river, so it's pretty big and scary.
Is it not easily swimmable, right?
Yes, you Even though we are excellent swimmers, the current is quite tough. It would take.
Which is funny, because why would they be excellent swimmers?
Oh.
They have a desert environment.
How far? How wide is it?
It's in our stat block. I couldn't tell you. The guards are armored, so like the time it would take them to, either unarmor or try and swim across with armor on would be pretty significant.
Like, is it? What are we talking? Like 100 feet wide? Do you think?
The river probably,
50 feet?
yeah, we'll say 70 feet ish. It's not like it's impossible to swim, but with the current and armor and other things going on in the city, it would probably be a pretty impassable barrier.
Okay, so we need blockades. We need some way to stop the bridge, i.e., blowing it up.
You need distractions and you need to stop the bridge, essentially.
Yes,
And you need people to do that.
gotcha. And we still need to figure out if there is an artifact, which I might just wait till sundown.
Which one is the artifact? Yes.
I suppose we also have an appointment with Jafar too, don't we?
You did make an appointment with him, yes.
I suppose we should go have our appointment.
Before we do that, how about a quick break?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, guys. We'll be back soon. Stick around. We'll go talk to Jafar.
See you guys in the.
Welcome back. Let's go talk to Reshin, the Pharaoh's advisor.
Jafar too.
Yeah. And for reference, we had a Jafar 1 back in the city of Keld, and his actual name started with a P. That's all I remember.
Yeah.
And he was
When
a
there's-
10 on the hotness scale.
He was-
Yeah. Wasn't Jafar 2 also a 10 on the hotness scale?
I don't know if you guys rolled hotness for
I don't
Lizard.
think
Hotness.
we hotness checked him.
I thought we hotness checked
I think
him.
you hotness checked Bast, which is weird in retrospect.
Yes.
We did. You didn't tell me he was only 16.
Poopers is
teenager.
only 16, so it's not weird.
All
Yeah,
right,
but
yeah,
me as a
all right.
player.
Aren't you 15?
Yeah, Poopers is like 15.
Can someone
Even
roll a
better.
hotness check?
You all have the macro.
Someone
I
gonna do it?
officially.
Oh, required field content not present in chat message.
Okay. I remember this actually. Your attack macro doesn't work anymore either.
My attack macro that I wrote?
Yeah, they updated Foundry and changed one of the fields, so.
Oh, that sucks.
All you have to
he's
do.
a 6 out of
That
10.
was-
6.
Yeah, a 6.
Then I don't know if we should call him Jafar. That feels kind of like a betrayal.
Well,
of
he's
Jafar one.
Jafar because he's like the advisor to the Pharaoh and he's like
Sure.
evil.
Sure.
So he fits that way.
All right. He's ugly Jafar.
Just
Yeah.
call him Shroot.
Can even give him a goatee if you want.
How does the lizard person grow hair?
They have feathers.
Ah.
I
Oh,
like goatee.
he's got like a little feather tee.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. All
Yeah.
right. Yeah, sure.
All
Does-
right.
Does he have a mustache and his feathers kind of curl?
I don't know if that would be like biologically a thing that could happen. Like I don't know that like such fine feathers could exist.
Hmm.
You know, like with a
Noted.
beard, it's different because they just go down.
Hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. You have to look at the homebrew lizard folklore.
Okay. I'll make sure to use all my free time to do that.
Yeah, definitely exists. Anyways, you guys are on your way back to the palace with Reshin. You just had a nice conversation with Bast and Reshi about some plans you have to depose the pharaoh, essentially. You made an appointment with Reshin, the pharaoh's advisor, and that time has come, so you're shown to his office. It's a very nice office, very regal. It's very suitable for, the pharaoh's right-hand man. He does not look pleased at your arrival. In fact, one might say he looks displeased. And
Does he now?
yes, he is very reluctant to have you, but allows your entrance into his office anyways. He's seated behind a nice desk that's been carved from like limestone or sandstone or whatever stone. Looks very nice. Whatever they have in the desert,
You have a very nice desk.
Thank you. What do you want?
Well, we had set up an appointment with you, if you recall, like a day and a half ago, and there's some interesting things that we've been looking into, and we just, wanted to trade notes.
Have you found the insurrection leader?
We are close, but we're not there yet. We need to ask a couple questions, and we're trying to also understand the culture of this town, so that we can better think like a lizard, be like a lizard.
That is incredibly insulting.
What? I meant no offense at all. I just meant that it would help us if we understand
Doing great.
as the lizard folk do. Is that offensive, lizard folk?
Just kind of like
What do you
continues to
mean,
look
you
at you.
people?
What? What do you mean? You? Huh?
Oh, so now there's a you people.
I meant no offense at all. I am blue and furry. My intent is not to insult, as
He's a weirdo.
I am a weirdo. But we're just trying to understand better so that we can try and understand how the slaves think and how the workers think as well.
What are your questions, outsiders?
Is there something that we did that made you feel less happy about us recently?
Yes, you entered our sacred city and violated every precedent of instantly killing outsiders.
Well, we are the Sacred Six.
You
So
claiming
ordained by
yourself
your pharaoh.
sacred.
Hold on. I would like to remind the DM that our presence in the city was justified because we were, I think, we were told by their god to guide this city in some way.
Oh, that doesn't mean he has to believe that.
I'm just reminding you.
No, I remember, and he also knows that the pharaoh has permitted you to stay. That's why he hasn't had you killed.
Rude.
I'm insulted.
So,
Oh.
questions. We were curious, why do people want to commit this rebellion to begin with?
There has always been dissent throughout the ages. Once in a while, the commoners think that they deserve better, for lack of better words, when really it is them committing heresy, treason against our god by thinking they are above the place that he's assigned them. It is nothing more
The
than
books
peasant
in your
rabble.
libraries have said along those lines that those rascally peasants belong down there.
It is Zook's will to have them there, and by saying otherwise, they are necessarily committing treason, heresy, and it must be put down before the god is angered.
Has the god ever been angered and wrathed out to you guys? Lashed out to you, that is?
There are tales of this, though no written record of it. Ever since that happened long, long ago, every pharaoh has been sure to stamp out any sort of rebellion or insurrection.
Yeah, if I mean, it'd be terrible. Like, I'm sure you could rain fire down from the sky or just something like that. That would be
Smite
pretty
people,
obvious.
Make him angry.
That would be pretty obvious that he was angry if fire probably rained from the sky or something.
He kind of squints at you, understanding that you're kind of, jesting a bit, probably mocking him a bit. Says, "Yes, I suppose that would be very obvious, wouldn't it?"
I have a question for you. Trying to change the subject. Were you also advisor to the previous pharaoh?
Yes. Pharaoh Mali.
Were you advisor the entire time? What did you think about the instances surrounding his death? Did he die in his sleep, or?
In his later years, he was generally very weak, and it is no surprise to me that he fell ill quickly and perished from it. It was very sudden onset illness, if anything, and he did pass, thankfully, in his sleep very peacefully. He was a very noble and great ruler, and his passing brought a lot of sorrow to I and the other courtesans.
Did anybody in the court dislike him as pharaoh?
I believe that he was well liked. He was regarded as a very capable ruler and one who upheld our traditions exemplarily well.
And question to you, was he the father of the current pharaoh?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You didn't ask if there was anything suspicious around it, right?
No, I didn't want to push, but you can.
Jafar 2. What's the character's name again?
Russian.
Russian, that's right. Russian, I'm curious, was there anything mysterious about the previous pharaoh's death?
I wouldn't say mysterious. It was a bit startling that he perished so quickly. He went from moderate health to death in but a couple of days. However, I suppose that is nothing other than ill fortune, or perhaps the will of Zook.
So no foul play, maybe someone that wanted him gone, maybe the rebellion or someone else?
His food is tracked by servants every meal. It would have been incredibly difficult to poison him. And I don't know of anyone who wished to see him perish.
Is there something that the commoners would want from the pharaoh. Maybe some kind of source of power, so that we could maybe understand a motive behind them.
What do you mean?
If there was something of great value or some kind of religious idol specifically that the pharaoh holds, like just an example, but maybe like his scepter.
The power and integrity of the pharaoh comes from his ability to use magic. That is a gift from Zook. It is known that the pharaohs have used that scepter to aid in their channeling. It is revered as a gift from the god, passed through generations. The people believe in our pharaoh because it is Zook's will for them to do so.
Some pharaohs been better at communing than others.
There are those who have excelled in each sort of means of ruling. Some are better at diplomacy, and some are better at administration, and some have been more in tune with the god, but they all have had profound connections to him. How does this help you finding an insurrection leader?
Like I said, we're just trying to understand more potential motives of the potential insurrection.
I can guarantee that any insurrection is wanting to do nothing other than justify their own greed and selfishness rather than dedicate themselves to Zook. Any form of insurrection will anger the god and bring destruction upon our city.
Well, that's something we definitely want to avoid. Any more questions for Jafar 2, gang?
I'm good.
Nope.
Ken, we're in his office, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Can I look around? Is there anything of interest?
Roll an investigation check.
Also, can I kind of BS check him on like that the king basically just was old and dead quickly?
Okay, so his story on the previous
Yeah.
pharaoh. Yeah, go ahead.
What? See, that one is what in.
I rolled a
insight?
nat 1 on investigation.
Yeah, it looks like a typical office. There is a servant who has, passed through and been cleaning and stuff. Nothing of particular note.
Gotcha. Can,
It's 11 on insight for him.
He is pretty hostile to you. It's very hard to read him, and he seems to just kind of spit out facts. You have no real reading on what he's saying, but you also have no reason to distrust what he's saying. He hasn't given like an obvious sign of, misleading you or anything like that.
So, because these people want to distrust, clearly anger Zook, go against his wishes, they might have a reason for thinking that way, even if they're wrong. Was this pharaoh displaying magic powers? How did that manifest? How did you know that he was the pharaoh, the chosen one by Zook?
Pharaoh Atsu,
Yes.
Tactics.
as with all ascensions, the people of the court are gathered and tested. They undergo what I don't really wish to divulge to outsiders, as this is our sacred and historic tradition, but we undergo testing of a sort, trials that determine whether or not they display the proper magical affinities to be throned pharaoh. You've got me saying emperor, damn it.
I know. It's intentional. Okay, thank you. Anybody else have any questions as well before we finish up our appointment here?
No, thank you very much for your time.
Kind of just like hand waves you out.
I go out with a flourish.
you turn your cape and do one of those.
Yeah, exactly.
The servant outside the room shuts the door behind you guys. Kind of like continues cleaning the floors out there, the hallway or whatever.
So,
Have we seen this servant before?
No, just a generic servant, and probably like assigned to this part of the palace.
Gotcha.
Is-
One more thing that I wanted to do prior, that I just didn't get a word out, was detect magic in the area.
Yeah, there is no magic in his office.
Gotcha. Cool.
Is And his office is in, if we're looking at the map, it's E. It's like actually in the palace, right?
It is in the palace. Yes.
Okay.
All right, guys. Well, do we want to spend this night observing guard patrols?
Yeah,
Split up and.
While we're in the palace, I'd like to look around just to get a rough estimate on like how many guards are even in there and around his area and stuff too.
Okay. I don't want to have you roll for this. I don't want to say perception because it's pretty much plain sight. I want you to roll insight because it's more about interpretation and memorizing the patterns for the palace.
Should we all roll this since we're all trying to kind of?
Well, how are
Take a
you
look
guys
and-
spreading out? Are you just staying in the palace to observe? Are you sticking together? Are you splitting up? Because if you're sticking together, then I'll let him roll with advantage as you're helping each other.
I think we would want to split up to cover as much of the city as we could.
Okay. So can I know who's going kind of where?
Probably pairs of 2.
Yeah.
So just go in 3 groups. So we could have one kind of doing the palace and the tower. And then we could have one doing the southern half of the city and another doing kind of like the northern half.
Who's going with who? And each group can choose to have you both roll and we'll average it, or you can have one person roll with advantage.
Well, obviously Magnus and I are the most sneaky, so we should be in separate groups.
I mean, you have free reign of the city, as long as you don't go to a restricted area.
Sure. So I think that the most restricted areas that, well, obviously Magnus and I should go in those areas, which I would assume one of us should be in the palace and be sneaky about it.
One of-
So
So
you guys can be in the group that does the tower and the palace.
You've learned that you're not allowed in the Sacred Tower, which is H,
Right.
previously. And there are a lot of areas of the palace where you would also be denied. You can
Gotcha.
try and sneak in there, but it's also pretty risky if you are caught. They can still hear you if you're invisible.
My
They
my
can still
insight's
what?
20
Oh,
by the
here.
way.
Your insight is 20. Okay. I just wanted to know where the other groups are going, so we can.
I'll go with Cleo. We'll take the northern half of the city.
Okay.
I'll go with Barry.
Okay.
I think you're going with. Wait, Barry. Are Barry and Magnus not both taking the palace and the tower?
That may be the best
You know.
because since we're the sneakiest, I have boots
Oh,
of
okay.
Elvenkind and we can go invisible, so like
Yeah.
we can go into
Oh, okay.
restricted areas. You and Troy
Try
being
to go
out
into
in the
restricted
open, kind of
areas.
patrolling around, probably makes the most sense. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
We made a flip on stealthy guys being together.
Okay.
All right. So with those groups, I need everyone. Like I said, the groups can either each person roll, and we average it, or you can have one person roll with advantage.
Obviously, Biren's gonna cast Pass Without a Trace, so we have +10 on our stealth.
I just want the insight roll first.
I know, but that's yeah. And then who is it? You or me, Magnus, that has higher insight?
That's 19 for me and Cleo.
My insight's +5.
Mine's +9, so
Okay.
we'll
Never
do
mind.
that.
Wow. Yeah.
21 works. But
Okay,
you get,
and
you
then
get advantage, huh?
Eravir and Troy, do you want to have one person roll, or you both?
Yeah, I guess I'll. roll
What's
with
your
advantage.
insight?
Mm,
How wise are you? That's
not.
20
Actually,
advantage.
well, actually, my insight's +5 for some reason.
All right, mine's 4, so roll with advantage then.
Nat 20.
Woo!
Bow, bow, bow. 19. Okay. So we'll start with the people outside the palace because they're a little bit simpler. Eravir and Troy spend a large portion
Just
of
because
their
we're
time-
not smart doesn't mean we're simple.
They're very simple.
I'm kind of simple.
the simple
Um,
6.
You
Simple Jack.
spend all of the remaining afternoon and evening kind of it's still light out. Patrolling the southern part of the city. It's a pretty large area to cover, but thankfully there aren't that many roads. There are, however, a large number of guards. The patrols happen about every 15 minutes. Like if you stand in the same spot, a guard patrol will walk by approximately every 15 minutes. They typically walk in pairs. The But you do notice there's a discrepancy when the supplies arrive for like the dinner time rush, kind of, in the southern part of the city. The guard patrols are more infrequent, and there are more guards assigned to keeping order near the delivery side of the goods at the river. Very similar pattern in the north. It seems like they have a well-established route. You can kind of follow them. They're pretty evenly spaced. They're obviously very well trained. They're all armed, and they, will stop and like beat at the peasant rabble who are misbehaving once in a while. With your rolls, you're able to kind of chart the guard routes pretty effectively, both the north and south teams. In the palace, we have stealth rolls now. Well, actually, we'll start with the normal areas. In the non-restricted areas, it's a little bit harder to kind of map out the guard routes because it's inside a building instead of along public streets. That said, it does seem like there is a pretty frequent guard. Every 5 minutes or so, a set of guards will pass by. Almost every door that is remotely significant is guarded by a pair of guards. And the more important rooms, such as things like, wherever the pharaoh is, he's always surrounded by at least 15 guards. Especially in kind of like the throne room is, every entrance is guarded, and then there's plenty of guards inside as well. The restricted areas, do you want to try and get to the palace restricted areas first, or do you want to try and get to the altar first? Both will be incredibly difficult as they are manned by, guards with their spears crossing at the doors. It's really going to be tough to kind of get by them.
Are real quick before we get into those, are a couple questions. One, are all the guards look like they're in pretty heavy armor and like swords kind of guards? And then two, do all the guards, as far as like in the palace or even outside, are they all like, does it look like they're pretty well disciplined, or does it seem like they are bored standing at the door kind of thing? And like,
the guards are heavily armored, mostly armed with spears. Some have ranged weapons as well, and they are all very well disciplined. They have a very haughty presence about them, like they know what they're doing is like a holy sacred duty, and they are better than other people because they get to be guards kind of deal, and it's like on them to keep order in the sacred city.
Okay.
But yeah, like I said, and I said this last time when you guys went to the altar, the doors are guarded like by guards. So if you want to try and sneak in, you're gonna have to come up with a pretty clever way to open a door.
Is there like windows or anything that we could scale?
It would be pretty difficult to do, especially indoors when you're like in a hallway. There's not going to be windows, looking down.
What if we were to do like a guard shift, like we switch positions with them, or if we pull them away from their post some way? I mean, don't we have a bunch of distractions?
So here are the two sides of this.
Yeah.
You have magic, which is a big advantage. I'm not used to dealing with magic.
Sure.
So trickery is a viable option.
Sure.
Posing as guards might be problematic because, as I said, with your high insight rules, they are very well disciplined. They know their hours, they know their routes.
Gotcha. Well, I can blind them, or cast darkness on them, Mr. Sneaky Stabby Stabby, or go invisible, or there's a lot of things we can do.
So, a thought. I mean, we could always do get help.
What do you mean? What?
There's a very good way. I forget. I think it was it was an old play I saw about these heroes that stopped a very terrible person, and I think he was a god of thunder and a mischievous guy. They were trapped, and they did a trickery thing where they did get help, where somebody was really hurt and they carried him in yelling to get help, and they came in and subdued said guards.
Well,
and then we could be invisible post get help.
right. The only thing that we have to be careful of is that we don't want to be the ones that are seen. So I think we either need to dress up
I
as
could be
like
a human.
right. I think we should disguise ourselves and we try to get help.
Hmm.
Have you considered what might happen if you're caught?
It would be bad.
Go ahead, I'm just letting you know.
Hmm.
Thanks,
Certainly
DM.
try.
Yeah,
We could.
I think we need to either distract them, pull them away, and like oh, if there's a hallway and they're standing there as guards, and I don't know, I invoke duplicity and like, hey, over here, like down that hallway, and then it runs that way, and then we come in from the other side, something like that.
Right. I mean, we can do.
And then
we
you know
have
what?
all minor illusion and those kind of fun things too.
Worst case scenario, I can also Dimension Doors out of a restricted area.
There you go.
So we just need to get in.
I can Misty Step out of there too.
Can you dimension store yourself into a restricted area?
Do you have to see where you're going when you dimension
I
door?
think I have to know where I'm going.
You have to have been there, or you have to be able to visually see it.
That is a good question.
Also,
DM's
I have
definitely looking it up.
thaumaturgy as well, so we can make loud sounds like.
I think we
crashing
just need to
sound.
pull them from the door.
Or
What are you guys hoping to accomplish
Yeah.
by going
So
in there?
here's what it says. Teleport yourself from your current location to any other spot within range. You arrive at exactly the spot desired. It can be a place you can see, one you can visualize, or one you can describe by stating distance and direction, such as 200 feet straight downward. So no, you don't have to know it.
we could end up in a wall.
But you might just end up in a wall. And then you take, what is it? It's like 1d10.
If
for
you arrive
every
in a
wall or
place
something.
already occupied by an object or creature, you and any creature traveling with you each take 46 force damage, and the spell fails to teleport you.
Gotcha.
That Poofers makes actually a really good point though. is
What's
what
our
are we-
objective? Yeah.
Yeah, so like we get this restricted area. There obviously there's a reason it's restricted. High risk, high reward is usually a pretty common thing. But this also might be something that we want to do whilst distraction is going on from
More than
the
likely we'll end up
the
in
coup
those
that gets
areas
set
doing
up,
coup.
or the whatever, the mercy killing that's going to be happening.
Fair enough. All right, we've held this hostage long enough. Then let's just be safe about it and get a lay of the land.
So you rolled pretty high. Like I said, it's really hard within a palace to know exact kind of the routes per se, just kind of how frequently you see the guards. But that said, you get a pretty good feel for it. Not 100% accurate, but you can say we have 5 minutes before the next guard set will appear or whatever. If you're wanting to do a heist or something, kind of deal. And after you guys have spent your whole day walking around the city in the blazing sun, it's quite hot. You return to your servant chambers and are able to convene and discuss what you've discovered.
Okay.
So
Um,
the palace is
hang on, before we before we go on that, should we inspect the bridge as well?
yes, on the way out. I think that might be smart. And looking to the river to see if it widens or narrows in different areas, like peering down the sides.
Okay. We'll just use the group's rules and say that you guys all do this together. The bridge is very long. It's very sturdy. It looks like it's been there for a lot of years. It would take a pretty
What's
significant
it made out of?
wood and stone. The obviously more structural parts would be reinforced with stone. It would take a pretty significant destructive force. More than a fireball would not obliterate this bridge enough. It is wider than that. It could, if you can take out some of the structural support parts, you can destroy enough of it where it would be really hard to pass. The river that flows underneath it is the one that is traversed by the supply boats typically, and it's definitely wider at the top and narrower at the bottom, but even at its narrowest point, the current is fierce enough to kind of stop an armored guard from passing that. And though it's not displayed in the picture, the river does continue south past the wall. It's not stopped there. It's a pretty good bet that the only entrance point, and it was probably designed this way on purpose to protect the pharaoh, is that bridge. That's like the choke point.
Gotcha. Need big
It's-
kablooey.
It is tall enough to go over the size of the supply boats that go underneath it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh. What if we were to load a barge with explosives and blow it up underneath it?
It'd be
Certainly an
kinda
option if you could find the
difficult.
explosives.
Yeah, difficult to get that.
All right, we can plot out that plan.
Hmm.
Well, at least we now know that the bridge is very, very sturdy. So, something to keep in mind.
All right. So let's compare guard routes. I assume that we don't want to go over all of that in intricate detail. And then tomorrow we should go to Bast and share the route information, and then we have to figure out how to recruit people. We also have to figure out how the heck we're gonna blow up that bridge.
Also, I'm pretty sure I think tomorrow is our last day.
Yes, tomorrow's our last day. Does anybody have gunpowder? We got any gunpowder on them?
No.
No.
Anybody can do any? Oh no, that was a Tempe thing. Setting up glyphs that trigger.
You know, we could actually thinking. I'm gonna call it outside the box, but I have a box that is extremely difficult to open, and when you attempt it, a giant explosion happens that hurts really, really bad.
Did it explode or did it shock you?
I think it exploded because I think it hurt both of us when we went to try to like watch up and watch it. I don't know. Maybe it shocked me.
I'm pretty sure it did not cause a large explosion because that would have damaged everyone in the area, not just one person.
Might have been like a
Hmm.
everyone's touching it electrocution kind of thing.
Okay.
Good
With
thought,
that
though.
being said, if we could do electrocution things, we could if we're talking electricity here, we could electrify this bridge. And I could purposely fail the lockpick.
I don't think that wood and stone are good conductors of electricity.
No, but
I learned that in the library.
But I'm sure we could wire something up.
Magnus does have a point though, which is that if we can't blow up the bridge, how do we stop them?
We
from
could get
crossing
it wet.
We could get the bridge wet. If we're talking,
Barry,
if we're
can't you
talking
summon a bunch
electricity.
of water?
I can. And they are wearing armor, which I don't know
I
if we're
think Erebir also
It's
has some
metal.
electrical spells.
And we could electrify the crap out of this bridge.
What's your plan here?
I'm just saying if guards come.
Yeah,
What's the choke
instead
point?
of blowing up the bridge.
No, I'm trying to, like, if you wanted to electrify the bridge, which is an option, you would need a person casting that spell nearby.
No, so I could if I'm doing the if I do the whatever lock box, I could use my Mage Hand, which is invisible, and
with a range
can-
of 30 feet.
Ugh, and I'd have to be around there. Yeah. Well,
Could we?
I like your thinking though.
Mhm.
I was gonna say if we could get somebody that Bask knows to do it for us, but they can't cast magic. I wonder if there's
No.
anything that we could rig.
We're we're in the right
let
mentality.
Erebir
though.
talk. You like this one?
I can lightning bolt, which is 100 feet long and 5 feet wide, and I can do it from 200 feet.
So that's a 300-foot lightning bolt.
No, 200 total.
Wait, so it's
It goes out 100 feet from you. That's not how this.
100
It's not
foot
like
range.
But spell sniper though.
that.
Does-
Yeah, spell sniper
Okay.
works for spells that start somewhere else. It
Okay,
starts
so yeah, then 100 feet from me. How long is the bridge?
So part of the problem here is the bridge is way down here, and you guys will, if you follow Bast's plan, be at the top of this altar.
Hmm.
That's a
Yeah.
good distance away. You can split the party, that is absolutely an option, but if you are going to rely on your magic to do this, it either needs to be set up in advance, or one of you or two of you
how
stay.
far away is the tower from the bridge?
This is I'm so bad at estimating distances. It's like a quarter of a mile away, probably. And then you also are up in the air, so you have the hypotenuse.
And Dimension Door is only like 200 feet or something. Like that.
400, I think.
400.
So it's still not enough.
There are other non-magical options you can pursue here. You can try and give them supplies to build a barricade. You can set a giant fire.
We could just set the top of the bridge on fire. Nobody's gonna run through the fire.
I mean, we got a whole bunch of lamp oil.
We got lamp oil and people that know how to use. Like, we don't have to be there for that. You know, we can teach
Right.
people how to use lamp oil. I'm sure they know how to create
I don't-
fire.
I don't think that counts as magic for him, right?
Are you guys still talking? This is the night before. You haven't gone to bed yet, right?
We haven't gone to bed.
Okay.
Alternatively, maybe there's something that we need to go talk to the construction slaves. I wonder if they have something that might be explosive, you know, like plastique or
Prisoners
something
with
like
jobs.
that. Yeah.
I mean, they could.
Yeah. I mean, if maybe they have some kind of explosives for the construction that they do to build their humongous altars and whatnot.
I think they're mine slaves.
Oh, then they'll probably have explosives or something that can break
Yeah.
down a bridge.
Well, we should definitely go out there and ask straight away in the morning.
I
if
mean,
they
we
can
need to-
have it possibly try and bring it back with us and get it to Bash.
Okay, so plan tomorrow. Talk to the mine, or we should probably talk to Bask first, right? Talk to Bask. Tell him our plan. Go to the mining people. Try and get them on board as recruits. See if they have anything explosion-y. And then we have to recruit even more people to try and get this plan in motion. And then we also probably, the Pharaoh's gonna want to know what's going on. We gotta come up with a lie about that.
Yeah,
I think
he
we
is
can come up with
expecting. He's expecting the prisoner tomorrow, because the
Ooh,
person
we
is
could
going to
just
be.
say something along the lines of, this person will be present at the sacristy ceremony, and I think that it would be appropriate for him to be outed and sacrificed at the same time.
What
So
if
that
we
he
just-
doesn't have a chance to.
What
to
if we?
escape.
So the person who we give him is going to be the one that's sacrificed at this ritual, correct?
Yeah, that's
What
his
if we?
plan.
What if we give him Rashi,
That was my
the old
plan.
the old man?
Oh, give him the old man to sacrifice?
Yeah. Well, clearly we will plan around it so that he is not sacrificed. But doesn't that put him literally in the spotlight of every single person witnessing this thing?
Yeah.
Plus, we don't have anybody else to deal with or save or at risk. We give them somebody so they're happy, and it makes sense for an insurrection leader. We gimmick up some way for him not to die, kill the other guy, he takes the throne, everybody sees it. I mean,
That is what Bast said. He said Reshi should be turned over as the sacrifice.
Yeah, I
And-
thought that's what the plan was going to be.
Oh,
And
I like this plan.
We
Is it-
return to the Jedi it with
Right.
saving Han Solo, right?
right,
exactly.
like face off.
Exactly.
Yeah. You guys
And that way
will.
that way there's not another component to deal with. It's just he's there. I mean, it's kind of a win-win in a way.
And where would this actually be happening at? Like the actual palace in the center
That,
square?
That tower.
The actual
H.
at the top of the tower?
The top of the
Yes.
tower, there's a balcony that overlooks the city
Yes.
as well as the river.
So the only problem with that afterwards is just what do we do with all the guards if everybody else goes along with it? And yay,
Well, I
here's our
mean,
new
if the
leader.
pharaoh is done, whether that's dead or outed or whatever it is, they have to pledge their allegiance to the new pharaoh because that's who their god chose. So, unless they're going to go against that tradition, which I don't think that they will, because this whole civilization is heavily based on tradition.
We could add some special effects to it too to make it look like the
Sparkles.
tower has gone to the new pharaoh, who was going to get
could.
sacrificed by the old
Little
pharaoh.
life force lights going from one body to the other.
Like
Eh.
magical mist or whatever the heck you want to do, going into him, right? To like really belay that fact of, hey, we're super magically and he's amazing.
Makes
And
sense.
I guess we're just going to hope that the artifact exposes itself during this, because I don't have any leads on that. Do you
Well,
guys?
I think
I
we're
think-
already invested at this point that
I think we could probably also really discuss like once A, you're not going to get killed. B, when you become the new fancy pharaoh or whatever, I think that would be a good little trade-off of let us check
You
out
could
the
at least
staff,
ask him, to
you
let
know,
us look at it.
and we'll check out the staff. If it is, we'll take it. If it's not, keep your staff, or I'll take it, and then we'll figure out, beyond that.
Okay,
That makes sense.
Sounds like a plan.
Something to touch on as well is maybe we don't have to blow up the bridge, but maybe the slaves can dismantle if they're miners, if they have mining tools. Maybe we put a team of them on the bridge to dismantle it.
I mean, they could probably work pretty hard,
Or we could
or
just
at least
light a fire on it.
They could chip away the stone probably, and we
Yeah,
can.
right? I mean, they're
start
miners, right?
at
I mean,
night.
Right. But how long is that going to take and also go unnoticed?
And what time is this sacrifice supposed to happen?
Yeah, what time of day?
Okay, so in the morning, around 8:30 in the morning, all the crowds gather right around here, along the coast here, and join it's a festival, but it's kind of like this sacrifice kicks off the festival of Sacristé.
Good old sacrifice to start the day.
It starts off early in the morning, which is why the Pharaoh will likely want a prisoner tomorrow. They also want time to be able to question him and all of that, find out if there's any backup plan and stuff like that.
Got it. So we need to talk to the slaves, and we need to turn this guy over in the next day.
So I mean, Tatiana had proposed saying, "Oh, we'll give him to you in the morning." It's probably not going to fly with the Pharaoh. You can try, but it's going to be pretty insistent that the person trying to out him is in his clutches in time.
And we should probably book it to Reshi in the morning and explain what's going to happen, and then tell the Pharaoh what's up.
Do any of you magic-y people have the ability to, when he gets questioned, to make him numb, or make him so he's not going to get
questioned,
instantly
right?
tortured,
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Or, and is this just an option that doesn't sound great? What if one of us takes his place?
I mean, Troy brought that up about Barry just popping a double, being a lizard person, popping
Just
a double,
while
be like,
he's in
hey,
custody.
here he is, and then.
But then we have the problem of Reshi not being at the ceremony site.
Oh, I mean, we can. I mean, we can make him invisible. I can make him invisible
For an hour.
for an hour.
I think.
And then you also have to get him to the altar in time.
We also, that's the thing is maybe Reshi's gonna have to take one a little bit for the team, because I'm sure that questioning is gonna be pretty unpleasant.
But also,
at the go ahead.
he's given powers by Zook, and he's this vessel of Zook. I would feel that Zook would not let something
He
happen.
has magic, and they
But
don't. I mean,
Have we seen him do any magic, by the way? We've
Yes.
seen him do it, right? Okay.
yes,
Confirmed. 100%.
Kind of. He tripped a guard or something, or he.
I think
he
we
did
also asked him
something.
to display something, and he did.
He did
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
So we did not. So we have not 100%
No, we did.
confirmed this.
We did. He's a magic user.
We don't know to what
I think,
extent.
Baron, you detected magic on him.
Yeah.
Okay, he didn't display magic. You detected magic on him. That's what.
Well, he did when we first
Mhm.
saw him in
And-
the street with the kid.
So he at least has
and
some
the
inventory.
implication when I kind of snuck up on those people and freaked him out, and had the discussion with him, it seemed very apparent that he's a magic user, as well as
Just making sure.
detect magic. No, that's fine. Good question.
Well, isn't that kind of? I mean, doesn't he feel like? I know the questioning won't be pleasant, but doesn't he kind of fill that archetype?
I
you
knew
know what I
exactly
mean?
what you yeah.
Like
Martyr.
You have
Yep.
created
Mhm.
Jesus, Anastasia.
we have.
Lizard
for this-
Jesus. Yeah. That's yeah. Let
I mean,
I say give him
Just
up.
saying.
And not only that, but also this is a part of the original rebellion's plan to begin with. So I'm sure, this has probably been discussed, and it'll be easier for them to kind of infiltrate where they need to go or follow the blueprint. So I think I think we should take that part of
Also-
the plan.
It would help to prove until the last minute that we are who we say we are, what we're doing, until the last minute of when we turn.
We gotta make it to that morning, and unless we deliver, we're not gonna.
It would
Yeah.
look good on us.
I would also really like to use levitate and have him walk across the water. Just saying.
Right, so. we
So
go
what's
to
our plan?
sleep. So the plan is we're going to talk to Bask in the morning and Reshi, explain the plan, let Reshi know that he's going to be taken today and probably interrogated very painfully. And then we're going to go to Pharaoh, tell him about Reshi. Then we're going to go around the city, including to the miners, try and get people on our side for the plan. Hopefully the miners can help us take down the bridge, and hopefully other people can cause distractions around the city.
Right, we'll need to tell them about like how to distract the guards, like the best times and opportunities.
Which you can with your insight rolls deduce
Yeah.
what we've observed. Okay. You guys go to sleep and get a good night's rest. In the morning, you're awoken by one of the servants who tells you that the Pharaoh is seeking an audience with you right now.
Fun.
Great. Okay, we need to tell him that we need a couple more hours because we're very close. We can set like a noon deadline
How
or
about
something.
by then?
By
5
lunchtime.
o'clock.
Yes.
So the Pharaoh summons you to the throne room. And as you enter, he seems very agitated. He's pacing back and forth and watches you enter and says, finally! I had much more faith in your abilities. Where is my leader? Where is the insurrection leader?
Your
he must be
Majesty,
questioned.
we are so pleased to tell you that we have narrowed down our leads to 2, and by noon today, we will know exactly who is planning to lead this insurrection against you.
He looks at you suspiciously and says, well, why not bring them both in? We'll just kill them both.
That's very true. However, don't you really want to be sure to know which one it was? Because then you can go to all of the people that they've been talking to. It's just a much cleaner process if you know you've nailed the specific person. That way you don't end up killing half your city on accident because they're related to either one of the 2 people.
Reshin seemed quite pleased, who's present, seemed quite pleased at the Pharaoh saying, why not just kill them both? And more displeased at your response. The Pharaoh seems kind of torn either way and says, very well, you have until noon, but if you do not deliver, it is your lives on the line, do you understand? You will not live.
Absolutely. We are extremely confident.
Get out of my sight. You better deliver.
Okay. Goodbye. See you at lunch.
Yes, you have a couple hours.
I like how Poofer has delivered that whole thing.
We
The 3 foot.
She's
truck.
like she's like 3 feet tall, and they're
Yeah.
like, what, 10 feet tall? They're very, very large.
Yep.
Poofer
Yes, they are.
is not afraid of anyone.
All right,
Hell
so
no.
are you guys rushing over to see Reshi?
Yeah.
Yep.
Best.
Yep.
They're still at the same hideout, doing their usual morning chores. Most of the people they take care of are still asleep. Reshi and Bast are together right now.
How are we doing today?
Reshi speaks, because they sound the same. Good morning to you. I don't suppose you've made progress in your project.
We are working on it, and something that we've come to the conclusion on is that we should follow part of your plan, which is, Reshi, we believe that you should give yourself up to the Pharaoh.
He kind of looks with some alarm at Bast, who clearly has not told Reshi this part of the plan.
Bast, bro, really?
Well, I didn't. Who wants to be told that they'll probably be tortured? And Reshi kind of like. It's not a dirty glance. It's more of like a disappointment. Like, I'm disappointed in you, son. Kind of look.
Et tu?
Yeah. No, not even that. He's understanding of the reasoning, but he's also kind of like, I would have liked to know this. And he thinks about it for a moment. And turns to Bast actually and says, if you truly think that this is the proper course of action, and really believe that this will lead to the betterment of our people, Then I will do what must be done. And then he turns to you and says, I trust that you will honor what you said and be as peaceful and humane as you can.
That is our plan. And
It is still only for one reason that I'm doing this, and that is what you said, looking at Erebir. What you said. Let us hope it is true.
I think we all hope so. Otherwise, I think we're all in a lot of trouble. So, the plan is that
The staff.
the staff.
Supposed to tell him that, this is successful. We'd like to see the staff.
Ah. Sorry about that. Pooper was just talking to me. If everything goes according to plan, one of the reasons that we actually came here, as much as we'd like to help you, was also because we're trying to save the world. Long story short, and
Big rip in the sky.
Big
big
flex.
rip in the sky.
The
There
eye.
there is an item that we are actually looking for, and we're sorry that we haven't been forthright with you entirely, but they're known as artifacts, and we believe that one's here. And so, while we are fully committed to helping you, if we do help make things better here, we'd also hope in return that you'd allow us to investigate for this item.
Say that the Eye of Oth is the Eye of Roth is caused by this artifact?
We believe that they are somehow related to,
Might be able to fix it.
yeah.
You may have whatever you desire, of course.
All right,
Yeah.
then that sounds like a good deal.
All right, throw him in cuffs.
No, wait, fast. Take care of them.
Whatever.
She'll drag him
Whatever
away.
we desire.
Make sure they're okay. If I don't come back, protect them. Kind of.
Let's discuss what we need
Yeah,
to do with Bast, and we need to go.
Yes, we need to
talk some
communicate with
miners and
Bast
stuff
about the
before we take-
miners and yep.
Yeah, that will
I see-
give Reshi a chance to get his affairs in order with everyone he takes care of.
I say an oldish. You guys all
The
heard.
younglings.
Anything we want, anything we desire.
What a naive old man.
So naive.
He's probably never seen all the gold inside the palace, so.
Well, he's not going to, so don't worry about it.
So Bast tells you, I've stayed up most of the night, been talking to as many people as I can. I've gathered a small force of those willing to risk their lives to at least put up a distraction. We have about three sufficiently sized teams that will be able to cause some sort of chaos in the city. Have you figured out what to do with the bridge?
Yes. So is that group, does that include any miners? I don't mean like miners that can't drink alcohol, I mean like miners with pickaxe.
No, it's kind of hard to access that area of the city. The overseers are quite strict there.
Right? We're hoping to dismantle the bridge somehow. Does anybody have any crafting experience
Or explosives.
or large fires?
Or
Gunpowder doesn't exist here.
Or-
can
No.
we get
roaches.
maybe a whole bunch of oil and take care of that?
City has a large supply of oil that the manpower required to break down that bridge would be pretty significant.
We don't really need to break it down. We just need to set the top of it on fire so nobody can get past.
I can probably scrounge together enough people if you can, and the oil for that. Have you considered using the boats at all?
No.
In what way could we use the boats?
Ramming them into the supports of the bridge, perhaps?
I wasn't even that far off.
Man,
I was. That's basically what I said. I just added explosives on top of it. That is. I was basically saying let's ram the boats
I mean,
into
I
it
was
so it
thinking
blows it
I
up.
just didn't say it.
I just
Here's
wanted
the
to boat
boat,
bomb
here's
it.
the
That's
bridge.
all. Yeah. All right.
God.
Nice.
So
Softballing it in and we missed everything.
yeah.
Just realized that most of the story is just straight out of the road from El Dorado.
Oh, it totally is. Oh
Road to El Dorado, yeah.
my
Quit
god.
making comparisons of.
El Dorado.
No, don't start that.
Anyway, do we want to tear down the bridge or do we want to light it on fire?
Well, so how do we hijack these boats?
Well, I
Okay.
do have some contacts of the drivers. They are sympathizers. If you could speak to them and persuade them, I think that they could be swayed to our cause.
All right, put that on the list of people we're talking to today.
So the plan is cause the distractions. Guards run across the bridge to deal with the distractions. Blow up the bridge, or knock it down, or light it on fire, or whatever we're gonna do. Then we deal with what's going on at the temple.
It'll be pretty tight on time. We'll have to coordinate all of the distractions as well as the destruction of the bridge at around 8:25 a.m. if everything begins at 8:30.
5-minute window. Oh my gosh. Yeah. All right.
Question. Are these boat drivers timely?
Well, they do deliver the supplies at around the same time every day.
Okay, just making sure.
Which is great because the guards were more sporadic when the supplies arrived.
You know, a good way to be able to get the guards is if an injury happens to the guards, like we were talking about earlier. Injuries happen all the time. People die randomly. And so if one of the guards goes down out in the city, I'm sure there's going to be a large surge to go assist.
Could be. Could also use her magic. Maybe make like a huge, like ugly version of the pharaoh up in the sky.
Ooh.
Something like that.
I thought though we kind of wanted to stay away from being dishonest and illusions.
Yeah, we don't
Well,
want
that
to make
was-
them think that,
that
their
was of the-
god did anything.
That was of the pharaoh, not of Zook.
Well, I think the problem is we don't want to make anybody think that our actions are done by Zook. So
Gotcha.
we don't want to do anything big and showy because they're going to assume that.
Gotcha. Maybe there's a building we can light on fire that, like, maybe like a guard tower or something in town, or a barracks.
If Reshi were here, he'd be shaking his head in disappointment.
Well,
I was
he's not
almost
here.
gonna- or the building he's using to house all the poor and sickly.
But the guards don't care about anybody. They're only going to care about themselves or the pharaoh.
Exactly. So it's got to be
So,
something related to
if
draw
we-
them out.
If we just take care of a guard or cause like a big, I mean, they said that there's 3 groups, right? So if we started a giant rebel riot against these guards, hell, even if we sent 2 of the groups to do that, get as many guards as possible, because we really need to thin the pack. You know?
Well, we just need to draw them out. Because what's going to happen is, right, everyone can see the tower. That's the whole ceremony. Once they start seeing something's going on back with the pharaoh, they're going to want to run back. So we don't even need to necessarily use our resources on combating them. We just need to slow them down, throw the cart in the roads and so on and so forth.
Yeah, there's going to be an increased presence of guards near the palace area on that day, so your goal is to draw them away and then destroy their access back.
Bast, what was your plan on how to draw these guards out?
Most of the city will be gathered at the shores to watch the Sacristy ritual, and by causing chaos elsewhere in the city, we should be able to draw the guards' attention. It could be anything from a fire to some sort of riot. Really anything that
Where
will...
you guys dress up as really, really attractive lizard ladies and cause a commotion. Everybody comes running.
That is an option, I guess.
If we dam the river.
In 5 minutes.
We want to destroy the city.
Prefer if you didn't do that, actually.
It sounds like
Working
fire
that-
is probably the easiest thing to do at this
The
point.
guards will interpret any sort of disturbance as an effort against the pharaoh that day and will rush to stop it.
I think fire is probably the easiest way to go.
Fire it is. So what are we lighting on fire?
Fight
Who's the
Pharaoh with fire.
Nice. That is definitely the next stream title.
well, whatever.
Is there like a
building we light
government
on
building,
fire.
a pharaoh idol or something in the town?
Oh, there has to be statues and idols.
There are altars to the god.
Well, I don't think we want
Which
to do
we
it to
don't
God.
touch. No.
No touchy.
No. Let's just a random building needs to light on fire.
We don't.
Not related to the pharaoh or god. And whoever owns it gets repaid after we overthrow.
Sure.
The
I
pharaoh.
mean, you saw how crazy they went for like 10 gold out here. I mean, you know, you can buy your own hotel with like 5 gold.
A nickel.
We don't worship the pharaoh we worship the god that he's an incarnation of. That said, there are important buildings throughout the city, guard posts and overseer encampments. Those would be good targets.
Those seem
Where's
like
the
good
ta-
targets to me.
Where's the tax collector building? Let's burn that to the ground.
The palace.
Well, why don't we do it over in like the like C corridor or something like that, where we could really pull the guards away.
So these areas where you kind of see like important looking buildings, like over here and over here and over here, are kind of the more significant. Like those would be the
That
targets.
square one looks like a good one. My only concern with C is that seems like that's the poorest region of the city. So if the fire catches, it's going to burn down all the poor people's stuff. Would that be an accurate statement?
It's a definite possibility that will come down to some rules.
Nice. I'm thinking that square building with the pillars above B. That seems like a nice. Yeah, that one right there.
You're probably going to want more than one target.
Hmm.
'Cause they don't
I
send
mean,
their entire
kinda-
force
kind
to
of-
one area.
Further on that point of you saying, 10 gold freaking out. Who cares? There's gonna definitely be at least a quarter of the gold left in the palace. So
Well, I
they'll be
think
That's
we
also
don't.
true.
We also don't want people to burn to death in their house.
Is that like a dried forest to the south of the castle? Could we burn that?
Wispy.
It is. It's like where they've gathered most of their wood and stuff and lumber.
Can we just start a
But they're
fire through there?
trees with their.
More accurately, I know it's like not. The picture's not 100% accurate. That is actually where like farmland would be. Like they like have food and stuff there.
Burn their crops.
On the plus side, most of the people will be up near the tower trying to see the pharaoh and watching this whole thing happening. So they shouldn't be
That's true.
That's true.
back
less-
at their houses.
Less.
So if you
personal
destroy the
collateral
city-
damage,
Fewer people will die.
but then they don't have a city.
It's like that one SpongeBob gif. We did it, Patrick. We saved the city.
What if we burn the main entry gate A Alpha into the
Mm.
city?
That's also not a bad idea.
Draw them to the other side of the city. It's not somebody's personal property. It shouldn't risk any lives.
By the way,
Also, then the minor slaves outside could come into the city.
The miners are in Area F. Outside, the slaves build pyramids.
Man, that sucks to be
so-
over at F. God, people live there?
Yeah.
You know, I totally forgot about this all the way down here with D, the actual pyramid. Do we want to put oil down on the pyramid and light that thing on fire?
I mean,
Well,
It
maybe-
is
they're
a
gonna
few
see it.
miles
I
away.
think that's a monument to Zook.
I
Uh,
would say no.
That's true.
And plus, yeah, they probably like the pyramid.
and it's also pretty damn far.
I would just
And
say
there's guards
Alright.
outside.
All right,
Again,
let's go.
this
Let's go
only
after the
needs to
guard
drop-
towers. Let's
this
go
only
after the
needs to-
barracks and the guard places, the places of oppression, and we should be good.
Okay. I
Sounds
guess
good.
we'll go for 2 or 3 of those. I guess you should talk to the ferry driver. Her name is. What is it called again? Let me look it
What
up.
kind of fairies? Woodland fairies, forest fairies,
What is that? What are you
plains
talking
fairies, Ice
about?
fairies?
I don't think boats can go through ice.
How do you
Fairy.
drive a ferry?
I'm confused.
Me too.
Her name is Caro. She's the main driver.
Last name Baskin.
What?
That
Nothing.
is she
You're
on
very
our side?
strange
Do we
people.
like her?
She's on the fence. You'll have to persuade her.
She's on the fence.
I mean, I could be very persuasive.
That sounded
Please don't
provocative.
hurt her.
Okay.
Everybody think I'm gonna hurt people.
Are you like spinning your dagger in your hand right now?
Like, it's that robot from Futurama that always goes and stabs everybody.
All right. So, unless there's any last-minute things you guys want to do, we will save talking to Caro, as well as turning in Reshi and proceeding with the consequences of all these decisions next time.
Holy smokes. Lots of
Dun
decisions.
dun dun.
Yeah.
Just to
She
make a
mean-
note,
she means-
might burn
she
down
means-
city.
She means rewards. She doesn't
Yes.
mean consequences.
She means-
miss-
Only positives, no negatives.
She
She
means
missed-
how this is going to go 100% flawlessly.
Flawlessly.
She misspelled rewards.
Yes. Look at that. That's the
That
face
DM
of a
face.
confident DM right there.
Oh no.
I'm excited. This is fun.
Yeah, good. Thank you to all the people that followed and to the people that watched. Didn't get around to saying them during the stream, but AS Rakanto, JK Griffin, Dragonborn Dad, and Vladir. Thanks for following. Thanks for everyone to watching. Make sure to catch us next Sunday. We'll see you then.